Recording. So, welcome everyone to Ayurveda Day Virtual Retreat 2021. It is such an amazing day. It is such an auspicious day. And for those who are not familiar with this, today is called Dhanteras. It's also known as Dhanatrayodashi or the 13th day, which is the day of wealth and abundance. It is also celebrated by Ayurvedic community all over the world. This is our best day ever. This is the day we all celebrate, we all rejoice. And it is known as Dhanvantari Jayanti, which is also the Ayurveda day or the World Ayurveda Day. So there is an ancient story, in the Vedic literature that there was a fight between demons and gods. So the fight between good and evil. And they wanted to churn the ocean. They churned the milky ocean and they wanted all the jewels that were lying in the ocean, right? And then the distribution happened between, the demons and the gods, by churning. So they churned this ocean with the help of a mountain and a snake, and it signifies churning of our own ocean. It signifies churning of our own inner, or stimulation of kundalini is the better word to describe it. So really, getting across all the hurdles and getting in touch with your own self so you can to get all the jewels that reside within you, right? So that is what it signifies. And in this churning of milky ocean, 14 jewels were found, right? Of which Dhanvantari, who's known as the god of medicine, he's the Ayurvedic god whom we pray to, and he's one of the aspects, or he's one of the images of Lord Vishnu, who's the sustainer of the world, right? So he emerged holding a pot of nectar of immortality. So your health, your happiness, which is connected to your health, really depends on your own self. And today is the day to take charge of it, right? And I have sent an email earlier in the morning where I've talked a little bit about why Dhanteras is the day of the wealth and abundance, and it is one of the 3.5 most auspicious timings in our Vedic calendar. One thing I would love for you all to do is make sure today you're committing something towards your health, like completely commit, or be invested in your own health and really take charge of your own health starting today, right? And in the email, one of the interesting things I made is I've said is I have decided personally to prioritize my health, my physical, mental, emotional health and well-being over everything. And that is the one commitment I'm asking you to do, right? Because the pandemic has not been easy for anyone. We are living in a very awkward, weird, crazy situation. Nobody imagined this is going to happen a few years ago. And the first thing that goes out of the door, the first thing that goes on the back burner when we get panicky or chaotic is our own health, right? And sometimes we try to overcompensate with work, or sometimes you're busy raising your family, sometimes you're busy traveling, like whatever it could be, but health is a non-negotiable thing. And this is something I really want to, drill in your mind. So if there's one thing you take away from today is, make sure you're taking charge of your health, make sure you're really prioritizing your health over everything else. And it is such an important time today, especially considering outside, that you need to really focus on your health. You need to make sure you're optimizing your health, not just making sure you're disease free, right? So from an Ayurvedic perspective, we look at maintenance of the health in a very important way. Disease happens when you're diagnosed in the Western world. For Ayurveda, when the pathology changes, that's when the physiology changes, that is right when there's the starting of the disease, right? So take charge of your health, make sure that you're really, really, really committing to the health. And please make a declaration. So I've sent everybody who's on my email list to make a declaration, and I've had a few amazing women email me back with the declaration. I'm going to put this in the chat. And the commitment you're making today is to your own health, and you're going to commit that I will place my physical, mental, emotional health and well-being over everything and really prioritize it today onwards. So I'm going to type in the chat. I want everybody who's here to commit to it. And I just want you to copy paste it and put it in the chat. So I know that you're really, really committing to it, right? And you can put your name there if if I can't see it, but make sure you make this commitment. If you want, put a sticky note wherever you sit on your desk and really commit to it, right? So this is the importance of Ayurveda Day today. I'm just going to get started before my presentation with a quick mantra. If you can close your eyes, just join your hands together. Today we are praying to Lord Dhanvantari, and he's the one who holds the nectar of immortality, and he's the one who can really help us get rid of any illness, any disease, any disorder, any imbalance happening in our body, mind. And we are just going to pray to this amazing, amazing God who has been giving us health, right? So close your eyes for just a few seconds, focus on your breath, really connect with yourself. Make sure, put your phones away, everything away. Really try to be mindful and focused during the presentation. And for now, just connect with your breath. Take 2 deep breaths. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantare Amruta Kalasha Hastaya Sarvamaya Vinashaya Trilokyanathaya Shri Mahavishnave Namaha. Namaste, and let's get started with Ayurveda Day now. Okay, perfect. So I have Sanjay, I have Dr. Ashish Paul, I have Diane, I have Hanka. So Angela, Isha, everyone has finally made the commitment here to place their mental, emotional health, over everything else. So everybody here is making the commitment. Fantastic. So let me get started with my presentation. I'm going to be mindful of the time. And if you have questions, always let us know, in the Facebook group, or you can also email it to me and I'll make sure I get the answers. So let me just quickly get started with my presentation. It is packed with information. If you miss anything, I will be more than happy to send you the slides. So please make sure that you are paying attention to the presentation rather than just trying to scramble through some notes. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Ayurvedic diet for balanced and blissful hormones, right? So this is a little introduction on me, like for those who have no idea who I am, what I'm talking about. I'm Dr. Manjiri. I'm based in Sarnia. My mission is to educate, empower, encourage you to heal your body, mind, and soul. And we are going to talk about creating an optimal state of balance today. A little more information about me, my bio. I'm going to send the slides. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. So the number one question that I get asked is why hormones? Why are we talking about hormones? Because they're extremely important for everybody's health, and they can either make you feel fantastic and blissful or completely make you, your system wreck and make you feel tired and miserable. And while these tiny chemical messengers are secreted by certain glands, they control a lot of your body functions, right? Right from your hunger to reproduction, metabolism, your emotions, mood. And these are dynamic. So your hormones are never the same. So if somebody is like, I'm going to fix your hormones forever, it's never going to happen because your hormones are constantly in a state of change, depending on the time of the day, depending on what you eat, depending on your activity levels, right? So these are very subtle, and the changes, have to be experienced, or have to be tested, have to be understood. So it is extremely important to understand the signs of hormonal imbalance as well, right? So if you are someone who's struggling with, a few of these signs, so if you are somebody who is having mood swings or PMS, hot flashes, night sweats, bloating, digestive issues, if poor memory, you are constantly fatigued, you're extremely exhausted, you have a brain fog that doesn't seem to lift, right? You're having a lot of changes in the texture of your hair, your skin. You have severe cravings for carbs, sugar, alcohol. You're just overwhelmed every single day. You feel dissatisfied with life no matter what. You just don't feel happy, right? It is a time, if you're experiencing the symptoms, to take a quick look at your own hormones at the time, right? And hormones are pretty interesting. They were coined in 1902. So um, in ancient Ayurvedic literature, you don't find the word hormones. And I'm going to describe a little bit of this from an Ayurvedic perspective as well. First, I'm going to take you through what's known as the sassy six hormones, right? So the six hormones that are extremely important, and there are more hormones than these, but these ones are, pretty important to us, and they make you feel like your sassy self, right? So progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, these three are the sex hormones. And then you have insulin, you have thyroid, as well as cortisol. And these six are extremely crucial to your health, right? I'm going to quickly go over this. I'm not going to spend tons of time on each. So progesterone is called the Zen hormone, right? So while it helps prepare your body for conception and pregnancy, it is also extremely important for the normal function of your nervous system. If you're constantly overwhelmed or irritable, or you have PMS, or you're having sleep issues, there could be challenges happening with your Zen hormone progesterone, right? And your body is going to decide, because they're all derived from cholesterol, which is one of the main molecules in your body, that your body produces, as well as you can ingest it externally. So your cholesterol is then going to produce sex hormones, and it is also going to be the one molecule that is going to produce the stress hormone called cortisol, right? So when your body goes into this fight flight mechanism, when you're extremely stressed, when it's a life death situation that your body perceives, it absolutely may not be a life death situation. But when this happens, what ends up happening is you make more of the cortisol at the expense of your progesterone, at the expense of your testosterone, at the expense of your sex hormones. So that is why understanding that, we need this Zen hormone, especially in the female body. You need your progesterone. A lot of my practice is, dealing with chronic health issues. And often in women, you will see that progesterone, or the sex hormone, this one, like specifically the Zen hormone, is depleted. Chronic stress is going to create depletion of progesterone, and that is going to make other symptoms. So when progesterone is lower, estrogen naturally tends to be on the higher side. You will experience things like irregular menses, heavy flow, spotting between your periods, osteoporosis, irritability, mood swings, a lot of anxiety, insomnia. So these are also common signs seen during menopause. I've often seen these signs earlier in my clients, as early as late 30s, right? Infertility, often miscarriages, multiple miscarriages are a result of low progesterone, as well as PMS is a common, a result of low progesterone. So the second one we're talking about is testosterone. So my question here is it only a man's best friend? No, women have testosterone too, much smaller quantities though, and it can be converted into estrogen, and is absolutely important for female hormonal balance, right? So this is extremely important for your mood, for vigor, for vitality, for the strength of your ligaments, bones, muscles, brain function, as well as assertive behavior, right? For your self confidence, for your self esteem, for your sense of well being, for your libido as well. So often, if you are feeling lost, if you feel really lack of, self esteem, if you feel that lowered confidence, if you feel you're not assertive, everybody's taking advantage of you, right? So if you're seeing all of these signs, it could mean that you have a lowered testosterone, right? And often people on the pill uh, is going to bind a lot of the testosterone, and that will create low libido as well. Some signs of imbalance are oily skin, a lot of acne, irritability, weight gain, right? There could be depression, there could be menopause, um, low self-esteem. So these are all moodiness, fatigue. So these are all signs of imbalanced testosterone. Third one we're going to talk about is estrogen, which is the queen maker, right? So your estrogen is of three types, primarily E1, E2, E3, and they're all produced in your ovaries, adrenals, placenta, and fat. And your menstruation, the bodily curves that we have as women, um, the softness of the skin, the feminine pitch of your voice, they're all results of normal function of estrogen. Now, estrogen receptors are present all over the body. It's not just about reproductive organs, but all over your body, whether it's your brain, whether it's your bone, whether it's your gut, you're going to have a lot of estrogen receptors. And your bone density, muscle mass, protection of the brain, positive effect on mood by aiding serotonin, right? Keeping your skin supple and young, protecting the heart, keeping the arteries open and elastic, vaginal lubrication, concentration, reasoning, enhance magnesium uptake, improve insulin. So these are all factors that are related to estrogen. So it is extremely important to have good amounts of estrogen, right? And it's extremely important to have good amounts of healthy estrogen. Now, there is a factor or a common term called estrogen dominant, which means that you have high estrogen. It could also mean that you have naturally lowered progesterone, which is creating effects like high estrogen, right? And some of the signs are that you have excess weight gain in the middle, right? Which could also be connected to cortisol or insulin. And high estrogen can also be caused by, if you're having a lot of sugary diet, that itself will also create a lot of high estrogen cases in the body, right? So if you have obesity, that will also lead to high estrogen. If you have constipation, if you have impaired liver function, if your body is not regularly cleaning the excess estrogen out of the body, you're going to have high estrogen. And then we talk about stress as well as certain chemicals present in the environment known as xenoestrogens, which is like the plastic bottles that you drink from, right? So never cook your food in microwaves in plastic or drink out of plastic bottles, because they could have BPA, which will act as a female estrogen, and it will completely mess up your own hormonal mechanisms. The pill is another common chemical, right? So people who are on birth control pills are extremely dominant in estrogen, right? And then these are some signs of high and low estrogen. So high estrogen will create muffin top, irritability, breast tenderness, PMS, hot flashes, night sweats, heavy periods, fibroids, endometriosis, even conditions like breast cancer. And low estrogen is going to lead to panic attacks, depression, bone loss, vaginal dryness, belly fat, memory issues, mood. Often we have also seen that once you hit menopause or post-menopause, even Alzheimer's or dementia in women is getting extremely common because of a fast depleted estrogen. The fourth hormone I want to talk about is cortisol, which is called nature's built-in alarm system, right? So whenever things go wrong in your house, in your home, you will have like a fire alarm, right? Or you will have a carbon monoxide alarm. So we have these alarms in our home to warn us that something's going on and we need to take quick action. So cortisol is something that is made in your body, which is your built-in alarm system, right? So stress hormones are made by adrenals, adrenaline, noradrenaline, they're the instant fight flight hormones. And cortisol is another hormone that plays an important role in balancing your blood sugar, weight control, immune function, restful sleep, mood, right? And cortisol is extremely sensitive to the circadian rhythms. So in the morning, you're going to have high levels of cholesterol. And the evening, as your cholesterol is going to drop, your melatonin is going to increase as well. Now, one factor that we've seen change in recent times is, women who play on iPad, women or men, if you're playing video games or playing on your iPad, watching TV till midnight, the blue light emitted from your electronics is going to mess up this hormone, right? Exercising, too much exercising, right? Boot camps without resting can also spike up your cortisol. And often complete avoidance of carbs, like, you go on a keto diet, is also going to create issues with your cortisol. So this is extremely important, right? So your cortisol can increase if you're missing any meals, right? And your cortisol can also increase if you're on any crash diets or any fat diets or any crazy diets. So there are some signs, like initially, you start getting high cortisol. But if your body is fatigued for a long time, when we talk about chronic stress, then the cortisol making will be depleted as well, because your digestion takes a backseat, your absorption takes a backseat. So your body does not have raw material to create these hormones, and that can be understood as feeling burnt out, which is the low cholesterol or cortisol state. So when you have high cortisol, you have this tired and wired feeling. You have anxiety, insomnia, depression, belly fat, a lot of appetite, lots of cravings, especially for salt, right? If you're craving salt, it shows your adrenals are out of balance. And if you're feeling dissatisfied or overwhelmed, that is also a sign of high cortisol. And high cortisol is the one thing that's going to inhibit your thyroid function and also create insulin resistance. So it is important to understand that if one of your hormones is out of whack, the others are out of whack as well. It's never one solitary hormone that's going off by itself. Your body tries to balance things out as much as it can. But once your hormones start going out of order, usually there are going to be a few that are together going off balance rather than just one, right? And low cortisol in today's world, you could have heard the misnomer term adrenal fatigue, right? So your adrenals are not like fatigued, but your body is completely exhausted. You're in that burnout phase because you have been pushing through no matter what. And that has created issues with your cortisol. And this is usually like a long term phase, right? So you're exhausted, you're drained, you're sleeping for 14 hours, but you wake up, you still feel tired, you're constantly tearful, you have terrible PMS, you're extremely cranky, and you have absolute low energy or zero energy at this time. And even though you get rested, if you have low cortisol levels, you're going to still wake up tired. No matter how much you rest, you're constantly exhausted, right? So one way to understand if you have high or low cortisol is you can get tested for cortisol, right? And there are different tests. There are blood tests that can be done. In my clinic, I do a salivary 4-point testing. So we are going to map up your morning, afternoon, evening, night cortisol and see what's the pattern. And from there, we get a lot of clues into what's going on inside your body, right? The third hormone is something that we again talk about commonly, because a lot of women as well as a lot of men today can have issues with their thyroid. And thyroid is the ACE metabolic hormone. T3, T4, you know, um, TSH, other terms you must have heard. But this is one of the most important hormones in the body, because every cell in your body, including your brain, is impacted by your thyroid, right? And your thyroid also is going to produce, or parathyroid is going to produce the calcitonin, which will also play an important role in calcium. So if you look at the thyroid functions, not just metabolism of all cells, the texture of your hair, your energy regulation, your temperature regulation, weight regulation, like thyroid regulates quite a few things in your body. And thyroid hormones can affect your pregnancy, your cycle, right? They can affect your brain development, a lot of your cognitive function. Often low thyroid function is going to make cholesterol levels elevate as well. And digestion, memory, like everything in your body is pretty much under the realm of the thyroid hormone. So this is extremely important. And thyroid dysfunction is a very common thing, right? So right from environmental factors, if you're having a lot of water which has fluoride in it, so that itself, like fluoride, bromide, iodide, they're kind of they're the same category in the um, chemical chart. I forgot the name of the chart. Yeah. So they can replace each other, right? So right now I go for regular swimming and I have to make sure I'm upping my iodine to compensate for all the chlorine that I'm getting into. Your diet is extremely important when it comes to thyroid. So having good amounts of iodine or iodine is extremely important, but having an overall anti-inflammatory diet is also extremely important. If you're getting a lot of inflammation from the food that you eat, if you're eating foods that are not compatible with your body, if you're eating foods that you're sensitive to or your body's having adverse reactions to, it will create a lot of inflammation in the body. And the first thing that the inflammation hits is going to be your thyroid as well, right? So high stress levels, immune issues, toxins, digestive issues, these can all result into thyroid dysfunction. And thyroid situation, it can either go and overwork or it can underwork, right? So overactivation of thyroid will create a lot more hormones in the system. And then you're going to have symptoms like unexplained weight loss or shortness of breath, palpitations, insomnia, diarrhea, puffiness around the eyes, right? And low thyroid, you're going to have constant fatigue, have a lot of weight gain, you'll have thinning hair, brain fog, predisposition to insulin resistance, cold hands and feet, constipation, your skin becomes really dry and brittle, and your hair start falling out in bunches, right? So these are a few factors. So thyroid, again, for everyone here, like this is one of the most important hormones. Thyroid adrenals are like can get out of balance very easily. So if you're experiencing any of these signs, make sure that you are getting tested for it, right? The last one, but not the least, is insulin, which is the storage CEO of the body. So it regulates your blood sugar levels. It is essential for carb, fat metabolism. It takes glucose from blood and it transports it into different cells, and it will prevent blood sugar from getting too high as well. Okay, just give me one quick second. I think somebody wants me to mute. Okay, I think Dr. Harika, I think she's been muted. Okay. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any disturbance, please. So insulin is one of the most important things, and too much processed, refined carb foods, right? Your body, when it doesn't need like the glucose, it's going to convert it into glycogen and store it in the liver and muscles, right? And then if there's too much reserves that are exceeding your storage capacity in your body, in your liver and muscle, it will be converted into fats or especially triglycerides. And then these fatty things are deposited around your belly, again creating a muffin top, right? Now, one of the most interesting things about insulin, again, is, we talk about really minimizing the carbs, but you still are going to need healthy carbs for your insulin to function better, right? And in my recent, reset, the fall reset that I did with my clients, and the spring reset that I did with my clients, I have one of my, clients, and her blood sugar was balanced as we introduced the anti-inflammatory diet. And not just this, but I have so many examples of different clients who were eating protein, high amounts of protein, to make sure that blood sugar stays balanced as per modern nutrition, right? But when they switched over to an Ayurvedic diet, their blood sugar is even better, the cravings are gone, and they have a sense of harmony within the body, right? So insulin, again, high amounts of refined carbs, a lot of stimulants like caffeine, fizzy drinks, stress, skipping your meals, excess weight, hormonal issues, they're all going to create issues with your insulin, right? And if you're feeling irritable, jittery, low depressed, that shows that your blood sugar is fluctuating a lot, right? And again, if your blood sugar fluctuates a lot, it will stimulate the release of cortisol, and which is going to throw your stress glands out of balance as well. And that is one of the most important reasons why you need to focus on balancing all the hormones. You want to make sure that you're not harming one or the others, right? And today's, again, life is where you're constantly busy and you're relying a lot on stimulants. You're constantly on the go. You're having energy bars which could be laden with a lot of sugar, right? You're not active. This is all going to impact your hormones, not just your insulin, but your cortisol, right? So this is something to make sure you know about. So now, what are the main causes of hormonal balance? We talked about all of these separately. Now, stress is one of the huge factors that's leading cause of hormonal imbalance. And one thing I want to point out here is that you have to be mindful of what you put on your body and in your body as well, right? So there is a study done which showed that women put an average of 168 chemicals on their body every day, right? So it's not surprising that thyroid disease is 5 to 8 times more common in women. So if you're somebody who's getting out of the shower and lathering yourself with some creams that are full of chemicals, or you're using a lot of cosmetics that are full of chemicals, if you're using hair colors, hair dye that are full of chemicals, right? Even tattoo ink has a lot of chemicals. So if you're doing any or more of this, you have to make sure that you're supporting your body's natural detoxification channels and you're supporting your liver, right? So avoid chemicals whenever you can. If you get a chance, always keep go for the natural alternatives, and it's going to help you in the long term, right? So again, the most common ones are alcohol, any kind of recreational drugs, gut imbalance, nutrient deficiencies, thyroid imbalance, liver dysfunction. So all these together will create imbalances in one or more hormones, right? And even one of the important or interesting things here is unprocessed trauma, right? So from an Ayurvedic perspective, we just don't look at the diet, but we're also going to look at the overall history. And trauma is the one time that your body just shuts down. It goes into a complete shock. That is where your vata dosh, which we're going to talk about a little bit, can get aggravated completely and completely thrown out of balance, right? And there is no time for the process to happen by accumulation. It's like direct aggravation of this vata dosh, which is responsible for your nervous system. So make sure, if you are having any of these causes, like really reevaluate your life to make sure what's causing the imbalance. Taking those factors out is the number one thing you need to do. And then we look at healing the hormones. So let's talk a little bit about the role of the doshas, vata, pitta, kapha. And there is no reference to hormones. I think I omitted the word no, right, specifically in the text. But what we look for is a holistic approach. We talk about maintaining harmony within the body organs and the body systems, right? And we talk about three bioenergies, which are vata, pitta, and kapha. Vata is the energy of movement and transformation. Pitta is the main metabolic transformative energy and the cohesive energy that brings everything together. The nurturing, the replenishing energy is the kapha energy, right? So these three energies are always going to be present in every individual being. And the interplay of these can be responsible for either maintaining your hormonal balance or completely throwing them out of whack, right? So again, it's extremely important to understand that balancing the doshas is always going to be the key. It's always going to be vital and integral to your health, not just hormonal health, but overall health, right? So vata dosh is connected to the nervous system and the stress. And it is the king of doshas because your nervous system is literally, responsible for most things that you do in the body. And again, your adrenals, all your hormones are going to be connected with the nervous system. In Ayurveda, we say that, vata is the king because it's the only one that has the movement. So anytime you want to move things in the body, whether it's food that you're eating that has to move through your gastrointestinal tract, or the hormones that have to travel within your body, vata is the dosh that's always going to be connected there. It's always going to play a major role there. and they're all going to be dependent on this vata dosh for the moment, right? And everyday stressors, too much exposure to technology, like constantly being on your laptop, on the go lifestyle, is going to aggravate vata, right? Which are going to stimulate your stress hormones and in turn deplete your sex hormones. So one thing you have to do is, if you're seeing there are so many signs of vata aggravation, if you are feeling spacey, if you're tired, if you have extremely dry skin, if you have cracks on your feet and even tongue, right? So in my clinic, whenever I do an assessment of tongue, I always look for any kind of cracks, and cracks on the tongue will show me chronic activation of the nervous system, right? So it's somebody who's been under stress for a long time. And at that time, one of the most important things you need to do is support your body with a vata balancing diet, right? Now, in this short presentation, I'm unable to get into the details of a vata pitta kapha balancing diet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to email everybody a copy of my ultimate dosha guide, which talks about the foods to eat and foods to avoid for different kinds of doshas, right? So don't worry if you don't know what I'm talking about exactly when I mean a vata balancing diet. I will be emailing you that information. So vata balancing diet is something that's warm, it's easy to digest, it is going to be rich in fat, right? And that is going to be essential in replenishing your body and rebalancing your hormones. So intake of good fats is the key. Now, this is one thing where a lot of the modern nutrition has, shunned fats for the longest time, right? Often, cholesterol is high, you're put on cholesterol medications, which will create issues with the hormones, right? So if you completely avoid the intake of good fats, right, and good digestible fats, then you're going to not be able to make hormones, because fat serves as the precursor to hormones, right? And if you are really wanting to increase the intake of good fats, the one thing you need to add into your diet is clarified butter or ghee, right? So clarified butter is ghee. It is very different than regular butter, right? And technically it is cultured butter. So traditionally you're going to take milk cream every single day, put it aside, right? So you're going to lacto ferment the cream, and after fermentation you're going to clarify and make it into you're going to make it into butter, white butter, and then you're going to clarify it to clarified butter by heating it at low temperatures, right? So ghee is something that can nourish each and every cell of your body. Ghee is one of the best internal things to balance your vata as well as pitta, right? So if you are having a lot of inflammation, if you have a lot of burning sensations, if you have, if you're tired, your body can assimilate ghee in a much better way if your digestion is running well. But ghee is one thing that's going to support all the cells of your body, right? So this is the fat to choose if you are somebody who's struggling with vata aggravation, right? And even for healthy hormones, ghee is one of the best fats you can have in your body. So that's just the key that I wanted to mention here, right? The second factor we're going to talk a little bit is pitta, liver, and blood. So from a chemical standpoint, all your hormones are going to be under the realm of pitta, right? And just as fire transforms, pitta is going to be involved in all chemical processes in the body, digestion, molecular catalysts, hormones, right? And liver, blood are also places where a lot of these transformations take place. Now, one thing I wanted to pinpoint today is, we live in a world where fermented foods, drinking kefir, drinking kombucha are the fashion today, right? Um, Having vinegars in your diet, or fermented vegetables, they're extremely, like, everybody wants you to eat them according to modern nutrition. But always remember that these are sour and acidic and heating, right? So if you're indulging too much into fermented foods, if you're indulging too much in sour foods or heating foods or spicy foods or caffeine, alcohol, tobacco, they are going to impact your hormones. Again, with COVID, another thing I've seen is the increase in consumption of stimulants, right? So whether it's caffeine, whether it's alcohol, whether it's any recreational drugs, right? People are trying to cope any way they can. And this is going to directly impact your liver. And because your liver is responsible for flushing excess hormones out of the system, if your liver gets overloaded, you are not going to be able to do that, right? So one simple thing that you can do today is include bitter foods in your diet. So you will support the liver. Bitter is a cooling taste, it's not a heating taste. Your liver does not get too hot. And you can rebalance an aggravated pitta as well with bitter. Bitter is a taste that's balancing the pitta, right? So it's going to support your liver as well as support your pitta overall. So make sure you're adding cooked foods. Again, cooked is better because better digested, but things like dandelions, bitter melon, leafy greens, kale, collards, make sure you're adding those. Third thing we talk about is kapha, phlegm, and heaviness, right? So heaviness is one sign or symptom that I'm seeing a lot common because of inactivity, right? Nobody moves, you just feel heavy and sluggish. So kapha naturally is made up of earth and water, and it is building or nourishing in nature. The domain in the body is the mucosal layer within the organs, your fat, your skin, right? Your muscles are all the domain. And if you look at the standard American diet, the refined sugars, even the red meat, having high amounts of protein, right? Having a lot of greasy foods is going to lead to an accumulation of kapha. It's going to slow down your digestion. It's also going to lead to ama, which is going to block the flow of nutrients and wastes, right? So this is going to make you gain excess fat, but you're not going to have a lot of nutrients because of the blocking of the flow of nutrients, right? So one simple way to incorporate certain things, for balancing kapha is to spice it up to open the channels, right? So in your Ayurvedic diet, you have to identify from all the symptoms we were talking about with the vata pitta kapha, like what's going on. And if you incorporate three main things, increase the ghee intake, like 1 to 2 teaspoons every day is pretty okay for most individuals. Making sure that you're adding bitter foods to your daily diet, and it can be cooked bitter greens, right? And the third one is to spice things up. So spices are always warming. They're going to increase the blood flow. They're going to open the micro channels of the body and support digestion, extraction, as well as assimilation of nutrients. And certain spices like fennel will have estrogen like compounds and can support rebuild a depleted estrogen. Certain spices like cinnamon will help blood sugar balance, right? Blood sugar balance, sorry, it's written imbalance here. And turmeric will support a good liver function, right? So these are simple three things that everyone can do. I didn't want to make this like a very overwhelming presentation, but Ayurvedic diet is much more than eating for your dosha type. So these are a few key points, I wanted to talk about before I finish my presentation, that when we talk about eating for your body type, right? Your body type is when your body is in state of balance. When your body goes away from the state of balance, it is known as vikruti or imbalance, right? And you have to always balance the doshas that are involved in the imbalance. So if you have a pitta body, dominant body type, right? But if your vata is completely out of whack, you have to follow a vata balancing diet, right? So this is one of the key things. So always balance the doshas that are aggravated or increased, right? Always eat your food that you're supporting regular elimination as well. Elimination is also an important part of digestion, of proper functioning of digestion. If you're not eliminating every single day, your body is going to be high in toxic threshold, right? And this is the one main reason why I hold spring and fall resets, right? So when we go through a reset, we eat a little bit, we are making sure we're opening up the channels of the body, and we are really supporting body's natural detoxification as well as the elimination, right? And if you want more information about the fall detox, just message me and I can send that to you. So again, Ayurvedic diet is not one thing that's cut out for everyone. There is no standard Vata diet, Pitta diet, or Kapha diet. It is going to be highly customized to you depending on your age, your life stage, your activity levels, geographic location, and many more factors. We always consider Agni, right? Or the functionality of a digestive system. So if you eat, an example is high protein, you have to make sure you're digesting it. If you're not digesting it without considering your digestion, any diet plan fails, right? And from an Ayurvedic diet, food is a nourishing experience rather than short-term goals like, weight loss or um, weight loss or gaining muscle, right? So food is an overall nourishing experience. You're nourishing your mind, you're nourishing your senses with food. So it's not just about eating a certain food, right? And how you eat, when to eat, what you eat, why you eat is always important as what you eat. So these are some important factors, to understand. You will be emailed my ultimate dosha guide. I had a few more slides planned, but I'm going to cut short the presentation because I want to make sure I stay in time. So thank you all. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat and I will be answering those questions at the end of the sessions, because I'm a little over time. So thank you once again. If you have questions, just put it in the chat. I'll make a list of those questions. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce Dr. Ashish Paul. I'm just going to remove my pen. Perfect. So welcome, Dr. Ashish. And you can please unmute yourself. So Dr. Ashish Paul is here from UK. She's super gracious. She has done a few presentations for me and I've thoroughly enjoyed, talking to her. And she is such a valuable source of knowledge even for me. So this is amazing. So I'm just not going to take a lot more time and I'm just going to hand over the presentation to her. So welcome, Dr. Ashish Paul.
Hi, Dr. Manjiri. Thank you so much. I was listening behind the scenes to all your presentations. So thank you. Yeah, I hope everybody can hear me. And the talk today is about how Ayurveda can support your fertility journey, how Ayurveda is beneficial in getting you pregnant and going through issues of fertility. So I'm going to talk about that. There are no slides here. You can make notes. Feel free to ask a question or afterwards send question to Dr. Manjiri. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them if we don't cover them now, because half an hour is just, touching the surface of the whole subject of fertility. So you may, many times people think that, oh, I'm out of the whole picture of fertility. I've got my kids now. I don't need to know anything about fertility. So if you have friends and family who are still trying to conceive, later when you have your kids, they're going to want to, some of them want to have, kids. So we always need to know something about it and what we can do holistically in terms of fertility, as far as fertility is concerned. So I'll just give you a few things how fertility overall is going on in the world. Fertility is reducing overall for men and women. For men, it is reducing drastically. Over the last 50 years, it has reduced 50%. Men's, sexuality is also decreasing. Their testes size is also decreasing, and their sperm, the quality is also decreasing as we speak right now. Same with women as well. And the thing that I speak a lot about women's fertility. Obviously, I deal with a lot of women, going through fertility issue. Perhaps you never think of it from this point of view. In an infertility scenario, 50% is contributed by both sides. So it can be an issue with the men 50% of the time, mostly more or less, or 50% on the women's side. Even when it is a man's issue, it is the women who end up having all the drugs eventually, whether it is to do with IUI, you are taking Clomid, or you're going through IVF, it will be women who will end up having all these treatments. And perhaps you never thought of it also that women's gynecological medicines that we have, starting from contraceptive pill. Most of them, if not all of them, they're all steroids by nature. Yeah, which means that they have side effects, all of them, and they have side effects long term. Even when somebody is only looking to enhance their fertility for now, they are not concerned, what happens to their health for now. You need your gynecological function before and after you have kids. So it is crucial for us to talk about what natural medicine can do. And Ayurveda fits in really, really well, according to me. And I'll explain how and where will it fit in the whole scenario of fertility. And how big is fertility is a problem that 1 in 6 or 1 in 7 couples, or maybe more in certain countries, we see fertility issues. And we know that IVF is increasing every year. As an industry, it is booming. It's becoming, I don't know how many billions worth of industry IVF drugs are. And the issue with that is I have no problem with IVF. I think we are heading towards an integrated medicine model where we use modern medicine, we use natural medicine, we use them together. But the issue is that we are not doing anything to support women naturally. Also, what we are not realizing that there are long-term consequences of IVF drugs for women's health. Yeah. And the fact that IVF, which is seen to be like a miracle treatment, which it isn't. Yeah. So IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, as we know, test tube babies, it is a mechanical technique. It is successful 100% of the time as far as creating a baby or an embryo in the test tube is concerned. How that embryo converts from an embryo to a baby is only natural. And it will only happen when a woman's body is at its optimal level. Yeah. So a few things that I talk about how Ayurveda fits into this whole scenario, and why do we need holistic medicine? Because I think the side effects of drugs overall, not just for fertility, but overall, kills the maximum number of people in the world. It is more than cancer. It is more than cardiovascular disease. It is more than anything else. Side effects of modern drugs kills more people. So we need to look at holistic model for anything that we are doing. And I think it is very short term, and it's very conservative view of any doctor or any medical practitioner, or even a holistic practitioner. If you're a holistic practitioner of acupuncture or something else, and you don't necessarily recognize other holistic paradigms, even that is a very conservative view. Initially I used to think Ayurveda is the best and is the best for everybody. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes people don't react well to Ayurvedic medicines, or to acupuncture, or to anything else. So a combined approach is always wonderful. So anyway, I work with integrated medicine because I work with a lot of clients who are already going through IVF. They're already taking nutritional support. They're already taking acupuncture and IVF together. And then they are looking to do something more. And it is just fascinating to me to see that even with such strong drugs that we give, to enhance the egg quality, to enhance the sperm motility, it doesn't work sometimes. And it is baffling to see for modern doctors when IVF doesn't work, and for patients, for women. And I've seen so many clients who are like, but they can't believe that it didn't work. For them, it is like, but this was supposed to work. So what can we do naturally? And by naturally, I mean holistic, natural, Ayurvedic approach that I use. I also use a medical herbalism approach. So I'm a trained medical herbalist. I use neuro-linguistic programming for mindset training. I also use yoga for mindset training, as well as for raising the vibration and the healing quality in the body as well. So I use all of these things together to support my clients. And I have a specific program which is called Ananda. Now, the base of my work is all to do with Ayurvedic medicine. And as Dr. Manjiri was explaining about doshas, so it starts from there. when we start talking about fertility from a natural perspective, the first thing to look at is, what are your doshas doing? By doshas, we mean your humoral, as we call them, all the biochemicals in your body, your nervous system, how it is acting and reacting. Vata, Pitta, Kapha, what is the state of your balance right now? And we need a specific balance for good quality embryos, good quality eggs, good quality sperms. And I know this because I listen to a lot of, I'm actually listening to a neuroscientist right now a lot. And they're also talking about that too much heat in the body is not good for hormones. It's not good for reproduction. So we know, same with Ayurveda. Ayurveda talks about when there is too much pitta in the system, we are not going to have very good quality of eggs and sperms. So it all starts with doshas first. What is your dosha type? Where is the dosha out of balance right now? Second thing to discuss in this is to talk about your nutritional level. Where is your nutrition? And the modern nutrition does not necessarily account for a very bespoke approach. I know that there are a lot many more functional nutritionists out there, and it is great to see that they are looking at subjective approach to everybody, which is eventually based on your doshas, which is eventually based on your personality. So according to your doshas, you need to look at your diet. So I give specific diet changes for my clients. There are specific foods that I recommend for them to take. Now, one of the things that I really dislike doing and I always say this upfront, is that whenever we talk about any of these approaches, these are very specific approaches and they're based on patient to patient and they differ from patient to patient. So when I talk about certain foods, for example, there are a number of factors how one food may be good or not good for somebody. Yeah. So if I recommend avocado, for example, the quantity of the avocado, the time of that avocado, how much you should be eating, the combination of that avocado with what you should be eating that avocados with to enhance your fertility is going to be different for everyone. So a general approach does not work in holistic medicine. And I don't think it works anywhere. It doesn't even work in modern medicine, but you only find out very much later that it wasn't working for you. Yeah. So we need to look at your doshas. We need to look at your diet, what you are eating, and how can we make your nutritional level optimum in your body. In Ayurveda, we have 7 tissue states. So as Dr. Manjiri would know, Ras, Rakt, Mas, Med, Asti, Majja, Shukra, these are Sanskrit, Hindi, Indian names. But the reproductive tissue is the essence of all of them. So you need to have your whole body functioning in a very balanced way to have very balanced hormones and then eventually to have the good quality eggs and good quality sperms. So only just working on, what really baffles me is when people talk about, balancing your hormones work with each other. All the hormones are connected to each other. You cannot just work on one single hormone by itself. And that is why we see the side effects of modern medication. When we give insulin injections to work on insulin, the other hormones get whacked because we are not doing a holistic approach with the modern medicine. So that is why we need to look at a holistic approach. What kind of foods are good for you to balance your hormones? And that's where we start from. Then we also need to look at how your menstrual cycle is, especially for women and for men also. I'll speak about separately. I deal mainly with women. I don't know if we have any men today listening right now, but mainly women that I talk about. So you need to really know your menstrual cycle. The key to fertility is in the menstrual cycle, actually. Yeah. If you know your menstrual cycle really well, and your menstrual cycle is not only the days that you bleed, it is the days that you bleed and when you don't bleed. The whole month is menstrual cycle for us when we are in reproductive phase, when we are bleeding. So when are you ovulating? The days of your ovulation are crucial for you to know when you are fertile. And ovulation is the most important phenomenon as far as contraception is concerned, as well as fertility is concerned. So if you want to know when you should be avoiding, you need to know your ovulation. And when you want to then conceive, you need to know when you're ovulating. And again, this is one of those things I am baffled and I am just surprised to see how many women do not know when they ovulate. They're going through IVF, they're taking all the drugs, they've never noticed when they're ovulating. And by the way, many practitioners might be using this, and many patients might be using the tracking apps. You use apps to track your periods. Tracking apps are only 20% successful, right? So, and plus our menstrual cycle is only about 40%, the idea that everybody ovulates around 14th day, that fact is only 40% correct. So 60% of the time, it's not happening on the 14th day. So ovulation, we need to know when ovulation is happening, because that is the single most important factor for you to know how your fertility is working, how good your eggs are, and whether you're ovulating healthy or not. So two main diseases, infertility, that cause fertility issues for women are, one is endometriosis, and the second one is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Endometriosis is a long journey for many women, and it starts probably earlier in terms of endometriosis, because you start with painful periods and then you start to get it investigated, and you eventually, after 7 to 8 years, you will end up with a diagnosis. When we come to PCOS, PCOS is not even recognized up until somebody wants to conceive. Because unless somebody has got weight issues, and even when somebody has got weight issues, acne, all these hormonal issues, they will not be necessarily picked up as the first sign of PCOS. It will be much later when somebody will say, okay, let's look at whether, the girl or the younger person has polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it's a very underdiagnosed condition. And we also know that polycystic ovarian syndrome is increasing, because we know that overall the diabetes is on the rise, especially in certain ethnicities. I know for sure in Indians, it is an epidemic to a huge scale. And you will see that when you see a strong profile of diabetes in the family, there are more chances of girls having PCOS in that generation. Yeah. So keep an eye out for that. If you know someone having those or being diagnosed with PCOS, if you look at their history, there are chances that somebody will be suffering, parents or grandparents, with diabetes. So two main diseases that cause infertility issues in women are these two. And rest, there is a topic and other issues as well. So I was talking about the doshas, the diet. Then we need to look at the menstrual cycle. I think there's a question about ovulation. So the signs of ovulation is that you need to look at the cervical mucus. And cervical mucus is the secretion that happen around 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th day, depending on how long or short your cycle is. It starts from a clear liquid that you discharge, and then within 24 hours, the liquid consistency will change. So when you actually start to secrete cervical mucus is when egg is just about released. Okay. So if anybody who's trying for pregnancy, their fertile window is a day before that cervical mucus is being noticed. So if you have noticed the cervical mucus on the day 14, we should start trying or having sex on the 13th day, because egg only sustains for 24 to 48 hours, whereas sperms can sustain up to 72 to another day or so, much longer depending on the health of the sperms. So so menstrual cycle is crucial to understand. Infertility, another thing to really crucially to understand is how partners connect with each other. when we talk about fertility issues, many a times I've seen that partners are not necessarily having a great quality sex. They are not connecting at the right time. They're not having sex at the right time. If you don't know your ovulation window, you might be missing the trick every month. If you're thinking 14th day and your ovulation is happening on 13th or 12th day, you're missing that window every month. And by the way, even when naturally pregnancy happens, right? 80% of the people conceive within the first year of unprotected sex. Chances of that happening naturally is only 25%. So that is actually a staggeringly low number statistically. If you naturally conceive, within the first 6 months of unprotected sex, the chances of that happening was only 25%. So imagine with those who are having fertility issues, how low that percentage of having conception happens. And then if you are not aware of your ovulation window, you are really missing that trick. And I've seen this clinically with my patients, is because they miss that window. That is my understanding from their case histories, is because they never knew when the ovulation was, and it's like hitting in the dark. And plus there were some issues with the sperm and some issues with the women, and then it never had that exact match at the right time. Okay, so you need to have a great connection between men and women when we talk about having a conception. And I recommend number of ways to connect very well. One of the simplest, easiest thing to do is to give each other massage, which brings on really well-connected partners. You will be able to understand each other a little bit more, get closer to each other a bit more. And also with great quality orgasms for men and women equally, we release the best quality eggs and sperms at that time. So when you are at that moment, when you are really happy and in that blissful state, is when you are releasing the best of sperms and eggs. And that is the time when there are chances of conception happening. And that is why it's also, think from this point of view, that all our hormones are under the control of pineal gland. Yeah, pineal gland is a gland under our third eye. Pineal gland releases precursors, and then there is another gland which releasing hormones. So every single hormone in our body is under our mind control eventually, right? And nobody seems to talk about emotional side of hormones. Anytime you are emotionally feeling overwhelmed or depressed or sad, it's going to affect your ability to conceive. And it's a huge factor where people are not having great conception, is because there is that discrepancy. There is that difference between partners. There is that difference between the moods. They are not necessarily connecting with a great connection to each other. Yeah. So needs to look at that. Then we speak about one of the things that I focus highly in my practice for fertility is cellular health. So how are your cells behaving? So what is happening now is that women and men, obviously, but women are choosing to have kids later and later. Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to preserve fertility more and more. It is not, I don't think it is good for us to say, okay, women should have, children much earlier and not at this age. I don't think that's prudent for us to say that. But what we need to do is we need to give women choices. We need to educate women so that they can make these choices at much earlier stages, so that they don't have to suffer through so much fertility issues later in their life. Or when they want to have a family, they should be able to make that choice for them in a much easier way. So cellular health comes into play with this, because after 30, 35, when you try to conceive, we are more aging at that time, especially when we talk about reproductive tissue for men and women. It starts to age much more in women after 35. So after 35, female fertility is reducing on a 6-monthly basis, right? In 6 months is down another 5% and another 5%, and so on and so forth. And in certain ethnicities, it decreases even further, much quicker. Yeah. So there is this biological window that women have to be very aware of. And that is why I discuss and I speak a lot about freezing your eggs, even freezing embryos. If you as a couple are not ready, have embryo frozen, because then you can have, if you are 35, any egg or sperm or embryo under 35 has more chances of you conceiving even when you're 40 plus or 45 plus still. Yeah, because the health of the egg and sperm is much younger. So that is where cellular health comes into play, because I work with the Rasayana model or the rejuvenation model of Ayurveda, which is to rejuvenate you women with herbs, with therapy work that I do with Panchkarma, and all the therapies of Panchkarma, to make the cells have that kind of quality and have that kind of energy that is required to conceive, and to conceive healthier. Yeah. The reason that there are so many miscarriages, we see many more miscarriages now, and women miscarry much more after 35, is because eggs and sperms are aging. So that is one huge factor. So age is a huge factor for women as far as fertility is concerned, put it that way, whether we like it or we don't like it. So we need to improve the cellular health, and that's where nutrition comes into play. And that is where Ayurvedic herbs come into play. And I give a lot of Rasayana herbs, which are full of antioxidants, to enhance that nutritional level at the level of eggs and sperms, and improve their quality, increase their size, increase their numbers. Even when the AMH levels are very low, you can still increase overall count of however many eggs are available for you. And we need that, whether you go for IVF or you go for natural fertility, whatever you choose to do. And then there is role of the mindset overall, how your mentality is, what is your viewpoint of fertility. And this also comes from an Ayurvedic point of view. When we start fertility journey, we start from that first. So when I see patients in my practice, it is about, why would you want to start a family? What is the reason? Yeah. What is your why that you want to have a kid? Because kids are a big commitment in every way. And if you are not committed to them or to yourself to have that family, I have seen people falling apart, relationships falling apart, and families falling apart through this whole journey of fertility, because it is very, very stressful. And you need to have that why very, very strong in you, that yes, doesn't matter what it is, we want to have this child, or we want to bring this soul into this life, because it's not, you can't send kids back. They're not for Christmas only. So they are there forever. So you need that strong belief in yourself. And also, I have seen your past life experiences. By past life, I don't mean the life before this life, I mean before these many years, up to whatever age you are. So whatever has happened to you, people go through abuse, people go through mental or sexual abuse, and how that affect your ability to conceive. For example, I'll give you one or two examples. One of my patients, she saw her mom having miscarriage. She was about 8 or 9 years old. And she got this idea in her head, maybe I'll never be able to conceive. And guess what? She wasn't able to conceive. So, the kind of dialogue that we keep having in our mind, it has a huge impact on how our hormones work. And I've already said that our hormones are under direct control of our mind. And so, so your mind, so I work on that as well. So I have got a 6-module program where I look at all these 6 things that I've explained and work with the client. And normally minimum what we need for fertility or eggs and sperms to churn around is 3 months. But for anybody who's just starting out for fertility, I say 1 year. Give yourself plenty of time so that it doesn't become another chore for you to do. and you are doing it in a relaxed way, you are doing it with the full information, and you're also enjoying the process and not actually, really pulling your hair out with the whole fertility side issues. So this is what I am doing with my approach to fertility and integrated medicine. And as I said, I have more IVF patients who choose then to work with natural fertility. My invitation would be for everybody to choose natural fertility as the first protocol, to enhance your fertility with panchkarma or with herbs, and then go and do other things. But it is the other way around for now. I don't know how much time I have left.
Myself. I have a question. No, we are almost running out of time, but I have a question for you that Dipti has asked. Because it's directed to you. There's another one about signs of ovulation, but those are general ones, but this one I would love to know your take as well. So Dipti is asking that freezing eggs, does this not mess up the female hormones? They're subjected to concoctions of hormone treatments in order to extract eggs, right? So is this a true statement? Or...
No, not necessarily, because when you're younger, your body can bounce back very quickly. So freezing eggs is much better before 35, as I mentioned. I think in this day and age, going forward, every woman around 30 should freeze their eggs regardless, because you are younger, you need less stimulation, even from drugs point of view, and you can always bounce back and reclaim your health with natural medicine. You can do panchkarma afterwards and get your hormones and periods going very well for you. But no, I don't think that will have a very long-term impact.
Okay. And just like a point to note for you guys is, it's like if you are considering having children later on, but not ready for it right now, right? So that's the one thing I want to add. Yeah, perfect. Right. So thank you so much, Dr. Paul. Thank you so much. And I will have Dr. Swati as the next speaker. And if we have more questions, I'll address it to Dr. Ashish, and then she can answer your questions as well. And we'll see if we can have more question and answers at the end of today's session. I know it's a little bit rushed, but lots of interesting topics and not a lot of time. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashish.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have Dr. Swati here. I want to make sure she is unmuted, and I think she has a presentation as well. So I am going to make sure that she is a co-host.
I'm here.
Why can't I see you in the chat? Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna see if, okay, I can see you here. Okay, so allow me co-host. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so you can share the presentation. So welcome, Dr. Swati. And I know you're visiting your family during Diwali. So thank you for taking the time and, teaching us about Ayurvedic skincare. So I'm just going to hand over the presentation to her, and I'll mute.
All right, thank you so much. And I was here since the start of the session, so I have enjoyed a lot both of your talks, and it was very informative. So anybody who is hearing about Ayurveda or have questions, all us experts, Ayurveda experts, have the knowledge to guide you in a proper way. So I would always encourage you all to ask questions to the expertise, like Dr. Ashish for fertility, Manjiri for hormonal imbalance, and more. So because the questions that are being raised right now, they are very legit, they make sense. So do not hesitate to ask them on one-on-one level as well if you do not want to publish your questions. So today we are going to talk about is every man and woman wants to be young, right? Everybody is seeking anti-aging treatments and creams and lotions or any kind of skincare facials and things like that to look young. So everybody wants to do that. So let's start with our presentation, where I'll be sharing with you is all kinds of tricks and all these things that we are going to, hang on, let's see here. Okay, I'm not able to. Okay. There we go. All right. I hope everybody is able to see the slides over here. And first thing that is important to understand here is what is the concept of anti-aging, right? So anti-aging, everybody must have thought about is to look young. So if you are 40, you should look 30. If you're 30, you should look 20. Everybody is running behind that concept. And for that, people are also making grave mistakes in their skincare routines. And because of that, some irreversible changes are happening right now. I'm seeing some of my clients who have damaged a lot of their skin as well as their digestive health related to these seeking these treatments. So I'm just going to brush up a few things over here because of the limited time. We'll go a little faster so that everybody has a chance to understand and absorb these concepts in a very, very easy manner. Okay. So first thing is over here is that what is skin health according to Ayurveda? Like, what do you think is skin health, or how skin health is to be perceived or looked upon as from an Ayurvedic perspective? So from the Indus Valley civilization, skin care was a very, very important topic that was being shared, talked about, as well as practiced by the older generation. So how did they practice that? So they used is many forms of herbs and many forms of masks which are incorporated with herbs and which are incorporated with oils. So there were no moisturizers per se, what we get in the cream form or serums and things like that. Skin health was being considered right from your digestive system. So how you are defines how healthy your skin looks. So many times you cannot compromise with other factors, and you cannot just put on some masks or you cannot put on some oils and expect the results from it, because those results will come, but they will be just temporary based. But if you are addicted to something, or if you are not taking care of your overall health, that is not going to happen. So skin is given due importance since time immemorial, and as well as Ayurveda actually has given very, very prime importance to ahar. Ahar means the diet. Vihar means the lifestyle in the maintenance of health and prevention of diseases. So any skin related disorders, if you have dark eye circles, if you are having urticaria, that is the itching or rashes over the skin, or your skin is too sensitive to something, or it changes its textures and tones very, very frequently, that means something is wrong with your body as well. So it's not just related to what pops up on the skin, it is related to how you are digesting all of these things, even your emotions as well as the bodily toxins. So always remember that contemporary medicine has always seek this relation between diet and skin ailments, right? And Ayurvedic literature has described skin diseases mainly on the spectrum of kushta. Kushta means skin diseases. So there are several types of skin diseases that were being listed in this in Ayurveda, and there are many forms of kushta, and that is how an Ayurvedic doctor can help you diagnose actually where that imbalance is or what is going on with your skin as well as your metabolism. So factors affecting skin health is, these are the main factors that we are going to brush up very fast, is a well-functioning digestive system. So very important is that if your digestive system, again, I'm repeating it, if your digestive health is not working well, that means your skin is going to show any kind of imbalances or any dark spots or aging spots or wrinkles very prematurely in related to your age. They're going to show up. So if you do not have a well-functioning digestive system, you have to be very vigilant about it. The other thing is healthy blood tissue. Always remember that nutrition in an Ayurvedic perspective is not just about one thing at a time. That means if your skin is bad, putting lotions and putting creams and serums and investing in these extravagant, extra costly things, it is not going to give you the results that you are expecting unless and until you have all these systems functioning well in your body. So the liver function, detoxification of it, any imbalances in vata, pitta and kapha, that means everybody is talking about these three doshas, that our goal related to skin or any balance in our body, we should be focusing in on all these factors. Vata, pitta, kapha are doshas, which are the primary controllers of every system in our body. Emotional disturbances, naturally. So when we are agitated, when we are angry, when we are depressed, naturally our skin's glow goes down. When you are happy, when you are really excited about something, which is really a new beginning or a new start, your skin glows. That is what people will tell you. And the seasonal and environmental changes, of course, because seasonal and environmental changes, these changes or focusing on these changes are scripted in ages before in our scripts. Like you have to respect what is going on seasonal wise and environmental wise, that what are you surrounded with, what kind of weather, what kind of temperatures you are being surrounded with. So all these factors are very important. Again, I'll focus or I'll implement or will understand a little bit about a well-functioning digestive fire or the food factors, because treat food as a medicine is what Ayurveda has always told. And over here, there are some concepts that Ayurveda has defined. That when you want a healthy skin texture, if you want a glowing skin, you do not want any makeup to cover your blemishes or things like that. That means that something like, unless you are of that age, if you are crossed like 60 or 70, there are some changes that are going to happen in your body, of course, and you should accept those changes no matter what. So covering that with makeup is fine, but if it is too early, you are in your 20s, 30s and 40s, and you have to put on a lot of makeup to hide some blemishes or any kind of skin imbalances, that means there is something to be considered. And when I talk about digestive fire, this is what Ayurveda has told is ati lavana. That means lavan is excessive. Lavan is salty taste. So if you are taking excessive intake of salt, like pickles or chips or salty snacks, it's not a good idea to do that. Ati amla are the sour foods, the sour taste. So fermented products on a regular basis. Many people will ask me that, okay, what about South Indian people who eat a lot of fermented products? So for me, I have many people who are from southern part of India, and they are eating the same foods in the environment or in the location of Illinois. So we have cold weather. So many times these fermented products are causing their blood to toxify. So that is why where you live, what you are eating is very important. So you cannot compare this. You are not living in southern India anymore as to eat the fermented products on a daily basis. Pickles, sour fruit juices, sauces like tomato sauce, all these ati amla. Ati means too much, and amla is excessive intake of sour foods will cause a disruption in the digestive capacity. Viruddha ahara, very important, is incompatible foods. So many people on a regular basis, if I'm taking a history of a client, he or she will always mention some of these things in their lists if they are going through a skin disorder. Like I had an example, I just met with a person with white spots developing on his body. So when I talked about his ahara, that means what he's eating on a regular basis, the combination of milk and fruit was on his regimen on a regular basis. Now, as you know, that Ayurveda has mentioned a lot of a list of incompatible foods, and these are some of them. So we have to be very vigilant about it, that if you are eating these combination like milk with meat, so milk is also considered as sour cream in your soup or creams in in your soups. So that is something that is viruddha. Viruddha means opposite. Viruddha is they cannot, when they go into your digestive system, it creates a chaos. It creates a lot of toxins in your blood, and those toxins to pull out from your blood, it is very difficult. You have to go through a lot of Ayurvedic regimen to do that, and people do reverse these. On 80% of skin diseases can be reversible, but the thing is, you need to be very vigilant about these things that you are getting today in the slides or in the presentations. Make notes out of them, because these are very important. So radish with meat, jaggery with meat, milk or honey with leafy vegetables, curd with chicken, honey heated in any form or taken with hot water. This is a big trend going on as well. Alcohol. So if you're consuming alcohol and then you're eating, or you're in kind of like you're eating something with kheer. Kheer is like porridge, which is made from milk and maybe any grain. And you are eating that with alcohol as well, or cooking that with alcohol, or fish with jaggery or sugar. They're completely opposite combinations. Junk food, processed food, of course, they are going to make a tremendous effect on your, because they are the combinations of all of these three. There is ati amla, ati lavana, as well as viruddhara in all of these junk or processed foods. Guru Annapana, that means Guru means heavy, and Annapana means to eat heavy foods on a regular basis. So once in a while, if you are like I'm on a vacation as well, so once in a while we are also indulging hard to digest foods, like sometimes pizza or sometimes this or that. So always remember that if your digestive fire is working well, these things can be digested on an irregular basis. But if your digestive fire is working well as you are consuming these types of foods on a regular basis, you are taking your digestive fire to the imbalanced level. So try to be very vigilant about what you're eating, what you're consuming on a day-to-day basis. So I would 100% refrain, or this is my stand for many years, is please refrain from beef or pork. So these animals and the way they are processing the meat of these animals, it's very inhuman, as well as it is not good for our mind, body, and soul as well. So try to refrain from these foods on a, like I would say, refrain from them completely. Regular intake of meat products, that's what I told you about. Intake of milkshakes. So milkshakes in the sense is many kids are being fed with banana and milk, or any custards or milkshakes to get their nutrition, because milk is tasty for kids, as well as they don't eat fruits. So what mothers will do is they will put all these fruits in the milk, they will grind with the sugar, and they will prepare these thick milkshakes and give it to them. I will assure you, I will guarantee you, if you're taking these kind of milkshakes or these food combinations, at one point of time, you will always end up into any kind of imbalance in your body, which Ayurvedically, when I take the history, I can tell like 10 points over here that you were being doing wrong from all of these years, and they are surprised to hear that, oh my God, I'm really indulging all of these things on a unknown, like I was not even known. I didn't know. I'm feeding that to my kids now. So always be very knowledgeable about all of these things. Excessive oily foods such as fried oily foods, meat, soups, sweets made up of excess ghee. So always remember where your ghee is coming from. We as an Ayurveda doctors, we always support, we always tell people to eat or consume ghee on a regular basis, but make sure where is that ghee coming from. And all these detailed little teeny tiny questions that you have, please feel free to ask us. So ati dravapana, that means excessive intake of liquid foods, or going on a crash diet or something where you want to lose weight, and now you are excessively cutting off things and you are starving, or you are just indulging is excessive intake of water. Like people will come to me and they will say, oh, Dr. Swati, how are you saying that? Why are you saying that I shouldn't be drinking excess water? It is flushing out my system. And I told them that I will never sip anything during my lectures as well. It's because what you have consumed, even water needs to be digested. So if you're drinking lots of amounts of water, what is going to happen to the digestive juices? They are going to get over diluted. When they are over diluted, they are in no capacity to digest the food that you are putting in. So this is absolute myth. and you should drink excess amount of water. So that is what you get in the Ayurvedic consultations with good Ayurvedic doctors, is what is good for me. Sneha ati lavanam, excessive consumption of oils and fats. Asatmya ahara, that means uncongenial foods. That means foods that are not suitable to the prakriti. If you are kapha prakriti, always remember what you should eat is more inclined towards balancing the kapha and not aggravating the kapha. The desha, that means where are you living? So whatever the fruits that are being grown, that are being cultivated in your region, you should be eating them. You should not be hating, and like in India, this is a big trend going on, that they are ignoring the fruits that are being seasonally cultivated and are very cheap to buy, but they are indulging, or they are consuming these 100 rupees avocados or fancy foods or broccolis and things like that. You have enough in your land, so why not go with the foods that are being produced and being cultivated in that origin. So ajirna ahara, that means intake of food before the previous food is properly digested, is very, very important to this point. I can talk for hours on these points as well, but let's go a little fast. Meat in combination with milk. Remember these combinations no matter what. Intake of cold and hot food together. So you're drinking something hot and you are indulging something extremely cold. It's not harmonious for the body system. So habit of taking honey, jaggery fish, radish in excessive quantity, and when the previous food is not even digested, you are indulging more and more. Curd in different forms such as raita, lassi, dahi vada, all of these curd, if you want to consume curd, always remember what is the season that you are consuming, what is the time you are consuming, is it a daytime or nighttime, and what are you mixing with that curd with. Always remember that if you are drinking consuming curd, it should be homemade and it should be at a room temperature. Another thing is it should be freshly prepared. That means even in my family, we do not consume the curd, which is part of which is being produced in the morning, and we don't consume it in the night. We don't even consume curd. So there are all of these critical little points that you have to be very vigilant about. Excessive intake of fish or combination of fish with milk is said as an etiology for all skin diseases, you would say. Like, always remember, milk cooked with creamy sauce, very bad for your health. Eating healthy and living according to an Ayurvedic lifestyle can result in healthy mind, body, and soul. That is very important. And what are the pathogenesis of the skin diseases? Is dosha aggravation. That means your doshas are not working well with their sanctity, with their balance. They are out of balance completely, and still you are aggravating them more. Naturally, these aggravated dosha, they travel and they spread the toxins throughout the body. When they get deep inside your tissues, they pop up on your skin. That means it's kind of a warning that your skin is giving you. So these are a little bit over here, some of the things that you should be vigilant about if you're excessively sweating, or you are completely not sweating, or itching all over the body, or numbness of a body part is happening, non-healing skin lesions, or discoloration of skin like this is happening, burning sensation, urticaria. All of these things are very important to understand, to be vigilant about. Do not ignore any kind of skin. If it is happening over and over again, every time you are having some kind of disorders here, go to an Ayurveda doctor for sure. Then let's talk about dosha skin. So these skin will always end up into wrinkles, itching, scaling due to lack of moisture, dull texture, melasma. All of these things, like, they will always be very sensitive to cold weather. So always remember, what you can do is that massage with customized oils or something like that. So I do have my own Hemaveda skincare line where I make customized oil for your body. So I will just ask you a few questions. If you want a Vata body oil or Pitta body oil, you can just order that. But if you want to talk with me related to my skincare, you can please feel free to reach out to me. Always remember, body scrub like lemon peels, orange peels, rose petals is very important. Like, first, always remember, oil your body and then apply the scrubs for Vata skin. Okay, it shouldn't be the opposite way around. All right. And warm oil or Abhyanga is a beautiful practice that you can always do a practice, and you can do it today. Start from today, very auspicious day. At least offer a nice skin massage, a body massage to your whole body. And then if you have, you always have turmeric or triphala or neem powder or any kind of like herbal powder, you can take in your hand and dry scrub your skin after the oil massage. Always remember that warm and cooked foods, consumption of good quality ghee, A2 ghee, like A2 is a breed of cows, which is the most natural form of cows, the Gir cows or the A2 cows. So always remember to consume that ghee, invest in your health in this manner, so that your skin will be talking to you and will be always communicative of your emotions, right? So warm water is a good practice as well. So pitta skin, how is it? Pitta is more towards inflammation. So it's like a redness and burning or very sensitive skin these people have. So they will get tanned or red very easily when they are out in the sun, and they will get irritated. They have very sensitive skin. So they will be irritated with little chemicals here and there as well. So for that, what you have to do is go with cooling things. So cooling things in the sense is, especially the Texas weather people, right? In Illinois, it's probably 40s. Here it's close to 80s. So naturally, if you are in that particular region, go with that skincare related to how your skin is. So studying of your skin's texture, how is it, or what kind types of chemicals I'm putting in, am I irritating the skin more? Instead, go with herbal packs and talk to your Ayurvedic doctor, and they can make customized treatments for you for sure. And then for the consumption, for the balancing of digestive fire, always remember that stay hydrated. Go with cooling things like buttermilk or cumin, coriander, and fennel tea. All of these cooling herbs, pomegranate, oranges, all cooling kind of foods, which are good for your pitta body. That is what is going to promote more skin health. Kapha skin, it is more prone to acne, very, very oily skin. So kapha skin, it is a beautiful skin, it's a glowing skin, but sometimes if they are in imbalance, it's like excessive oil pouring out. And because of the oil, what happens is the skin pores, they get clogged. And when they get clogged, they start to produce these pimples. And on top of that, if your ahar, that means your diet is oily, heavy, which is you are eating excessively, that means naturally these acnes and are going to pop out on your skin. So always remember fresh fruits, very important. Detoxing, very important. So detoxing on a regular basis. So people after my detox, when they will go through all of these treatment regimens, people will tell them, I'll just tell them, don't say anything to people, and people will notice and add and say, oh, what are you doing to your skin? You are glowing. So why is glowing coming from? That is coming from the whole model. It's not just my products application. It is not just some fancy creams or serums. It is an overall process. So again, warm oil massages, then you can say if your digestive fire is working well, you can go with bitter greens, you can juice them, you can have like once or twice in a week, you can have 1 or 2 juices if your digestive fire is working well, and you are living in that kind of environment, then and then only. Okay, so all of these things are very, very important. The skincare, the 7 Ayurvedic tips for radiant skin, for anti-aging, I would tell you, taking care of your digestive fire, following of Ayurvedic rituals with the guidance of a very good Ayurvedic expert or doctor, consumption of suitable herbs. So there are herbs that you can take or you can make your own drinks from the herbs and drink them on a regular basis, but you cannot go and read blogs and start making your herbal combinations. You have to have a consultation with an Ayurvedic expert, and then only you can focus on all of these things. So skincare products, so always make sure you are applying those, like Manjiri, Dr. Manjiri mentioned that how many chemicals that we put in our skin, always be very vigilant about it. Healthy and fresh diet, very regular sleep routines. When are you sleeping? When are you waking up? De-stress and detox regularly, again with the guidance. We all are here to guide you with a good regimen. So always remember to seek the help. Taking care of your digestive fire, again, very important. So how to take, just a gist of it: eating according to the seasons, freshly cooked meals, not overburdening the digestive fire, avoiding junk processed food, vigilant of dietary combinations that I talked about, good times for food consumption. When are you eating your breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Very important. No over drinking of raw smoothies or cold beverages, and guided intermittent fasting. Like we all offer beautiful resets and beautiful Ayurvedic or detox treatments. So please feel free to make most out of it. And detailed analysis of your Prakriti with an Ayurvedic doctor. Always remember lifestyle changes, Ayurvedic routines following. Panchakarma is very important. Ayurvedic detox, even I offer Panchakarma at the comfort of your home. You can learn your Panchakarma, and we do have beautiful Panchakarma centers in the United States, and you can make your appointments, and you can start talking to Ayurvedic doctors. So always remember, Ayurveda consultation is very important with a very, very knowledgeable doctor. And another thing is the body products, which are the customized blends. If you want, they can be prepared for you, and Hemaveda offers those customized blends. So always remember, the beauty which comes from within is important. So if your system is healing, if your system is strong enough, it shows on your face. You do not need all these fancy makeup tools to make your patch here and there to make you glow. So always remember, inner beauty is very important. So thank you, and Shubha Dhanteras to everyone. May Lord Dhanvantari bless us all with health and happiness. So I pray for every one of you, as well as for the peace of the world. So Shubha Deepavali, we've celebrated our Hindu festival this week. So Shubha Deepavali to everyone. May everybody shine with beautiful light. So thank you very much. If you want to contact with me, this is my website as well as my phone number to reach out to. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Manjiri, for having me. All right, I will make you the host.
No, I think we're good. You're the co-host, so that's perfectly
All right.
fine. So perfect. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful presentation. So super excited now. We have another amazing presentation. Today is a really awesome day. I'm learning so much myself, and we have a few questions related to skincare, but right now, because of the time constraints, we'll be answering those later on. Please stay tuned. You're going to get some amazing prizes as well. Those who stay till the end, you're going to get some prizes. We're going to do some draws, so please stay tuned. I will be making Dr. Gauri as the host now. So we're going to learn a lot about Ayurveda and your emotions, because COVID or the pandemic has just been the craziest time in our lifetimes. So I'm really, thankful for all of you here, and I'm thankful to Dr. Gauri mainly that she's going to help us gain control over our emotions using Ayurveda. And this is the one topic I did not want to miss for the retreat, because I know a lot of you are struggling. So welcome, Dr. Gauri, and it's awesome to see you here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manjiri. Thank you so much for inviting me today, and I'm really excited, to be part of the retreat as well, and listening to a lot of my earlier speakers as well. Very, very excited, and thank you for all the earlier speakers too for sharing their wonderful knowledge. So today I'm going to talk a lot about Ayurveda and emotional balance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share we're going to use the PowerPoint for that. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen for that. So I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear, and everybody can see my presentation as well. So let's talk about Ayurveda for emotional balance. And just a little introduction about myself. I am a classically trained Vaidya. I'm also a registered licensed dietitian. I'm a certified diabetes educator and licensed massage therapist. And what we do is we integrate Ayurveda, nutrition, Ayurvedic therapies in our practice. So again, just a little introduction here about myself. a little disclaimer that whatever we talk today is just for educational purposes. And again, if you need any more help, make sure you're talking to your provider or, maybe an Ayurvedic person, an Ayurvedic practitioner, or a healthcare professional as well. So what we are going to focus today is how food impacts your mind, the food and the microbiome connection, and Ayurvedic body therapies for achieving emotional balance. So what we say in Ayurveda is, what affects the body affects the mind, and what affects the mind affects the body. And this is very true with regards to Ayurveda as well. Because in Ayurveda, Ayurveda is a very personalized health system. So Ayurveda focuses on the whole person approach. Ayurveda talks about not only what we need, when it comes to foods, what are some of the food that will help us creating that emotional balance. But when we have that emotional balance, it also helps achieving an overall health and wellness with our body as well. So to talk further about how the mind affects the body and what will help, what are the foods that help with some of those, the emotional balance, let's talk about different types of ahara or different types of foods that Ayurveda and yoga also has described. So the three main types of this ahara or the food is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Let's look at what these foods are, and what are some of the feelings and things that people may have once they consume some of these foods. Now, since we are talking about emotional balance, let's very first talk about the sattvic ahara. So what is sattvic ahara? It's considered more balanced. It's something that's considered less stimulatory to the senses. It helps with increasing calmness and provides more mental clarity. It's very easy to digest. So we may come across a lot of times when we have food which is easy to digest, a lot of times we see that we are in better control over our emotions as well. So some of the food that are being described, that which have a sattvic, some of the sattvic components to it are, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, honey, milk, yogurt, buttermilk, a lot of the tubers and things also help with creating that, emotional balance, help a lot with creating that mental clarity again. So we find that when we include more of this sattvic ahara in our digest, in our overall digestion, overall diet every day, we find that, our emotions are better controlled. We find that we may have a better clarity as well. The rajasic ahara, let's be aware of what is the rajasic ahara as well. A lot of time, rajasic ahara, that means foods that are considered, more pungent, they're considered more hot, or they're usually high in salt, they're more salty, more sweet, very dry, or a lot of times, a lot of fried food and things. These are considered more of what we call the rajasic ahara. And what we find is that when we indulge in a lot of this rajasic ahara, it may be stimulatory to the senses. It may trigger, our senses. It may create more feelings of agitation and anger. So in the olden days, one of the things what they would do is, especially, for the warriors, for people who were engaged in more battles and things, they would actually consume more of this rajasic ahara. So to help with actually that passion, that anger, that agitation that was required in the battles and things. So keep in mind with rajasic ahara, a lot of times the foods, when you indulge in a lot of these, may create some of those feelings of anger, agitation and things as well. Tamasic ahara. The tamasic ahara usually is more heavy to digest. Foods that are more stale. Usually in Ayurveda, we say that produce more ama. Difficult to digest, more deep fried foods, foods high in sugar and salt, meats, alcohol, are considered more tamasic. So they may create feelings of more laziness. A person may feel more sleepy after eating those foods as well. A person who indulges more in the tamasic ahara may also experience, there's more less clarity in thought. They may feel that, it may hinder their spiritual journey. So again, keep in mind with tamasic ahara is that it creates more of these feelings. So again, if you're someone who wants to, get more clarity in thoughts, you want to be away from tamasic ahara or consume less of the tamasic ahara. Same thing with when it comes to your rajasic ahara, you want to consume less. So you want to focus more on the sattvic ahara. Now, I know the earlier speakers talked a lot about the different doshas and things as well, the different personalities, the dosha types. So let's talk about, if you are a particular dosha type, what are some of the food that will have actually create that balance as well. So for a person who's a vata personality, now remember, for a vata personality, what helps is creating grounding. So, eating foods that are more warm, freshly cooked foods, food that are usually that have the sweet, sour and salty taste when it comes to vata, which actually create more grounding for a vata personality. Ghee is considered very important again for a vata personality because it creates more grounding, creates more lubrication in the body as well. Having more warm foods, more warm drinks. So again, for a vata personality, it's very important to have foods that are with exactly opposite quality. That means something that is warm in nature, something that has more moisture, which is more lubricating, is something that you want to have more of to create more of that emotional balance as well. For a pitta personality, now for a person who is a pitta personality, how would you create that emotional balance? Now, earlier, I remember I said that what affects the body affects the mind, what affects the mind affects the body as well. For a pitta personality, you want to have foods that again are more in alignment with your dosha type. So for a pitta personality, again, eating cooling foods, again, focusing on food that are exactly opposite quality. So eating more cooling foods, again, for a pitta personality, remember that pittas have one of the best digestion. They have one of the best metabolism among all the three doshas. So they can really digest foods really well. So they can actually tolerate both cooked as well as the raw foods as well. Generally, foods which are sweet, bitter, astringent in taste is something that will actually create balance for a pitta personality. Now, a lot of times people have a question with exactly what is an astringent taste. So a way for me to explain always is, if you have, let's say, bit into, let's say, raw banana, that taste of, the dryness on the tongue, that is basically what you call the astringent taste. Ghee is considered, again, very balancing for a pitta personality as well. So again, ghee is considered that is helps a lot with, again, with digestion as well. Coconut water, coconut oil. Now, coconut water is considered very cooling in nature. Same thing with coconut oil as well. So again, for a pitta personality, if you are a pitta personality, make sure that you are including some of these foods to create more balance with your overall health and wellness. If you are a person with a kapha personality, so again, the focus is going to be on foods that have opposite qualities. That means for a kapha personality, having foods which are warm, which are dry, which are light, which are easy to digest. So again, foods that are hot, bitter, astringent. And again, keep in mind, especially for kaphas, honey is what's recommended. Now, why is honey recommended for a kapha personality? Is because kapha has, when it comes to honey, it has something called as the scraping properties, which are considered really more balancing for a kapha personality. So again, having these foods creates more balance for a kapha personality. Again, including spices such as black pepper, chili, cinnamon, ginger, again, considered create more balance for a kapha personality. So for all the three dosha types, keep in mind that, again, consuming foods that are more in alignment with your dosha type is going to create more of that emotional balance as well. Since we talked about different foods and we talked about that our foods affect our mind, but they also affect our overall gut as well. So let's talk a little about some of the spices that we can actually include to not only help with a better digestion, better gut health, but also with better emotional health, and again, with better overall wellness as well. Turmeric. The turmeric, the scientific name is curcuma longa. It's a key spice in the Indian cooking and the curry. Some of the benefits, it's been used a lot in Ayurveda and the Chinese medicine. Some of the properties when it comes to turmeric, it's considered anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It boosts immunity. Some studies have shown that it can help with lowering high cholesterol. And again, it supports a healthy blood sugars as well. Fennel. The fennel is especially good for, again, people with a pitta personality as well. So the scientific name, the Funiculum vulgare. Now, I remember that growing up in India, that after a meal, we would chew on a few of these fennel seeds that not only helped with, again, freshening our breath, but also helped with the digestion as well. So some of the benefits of fennel are it helps to balance all the doshas, supports a healthy digestion, helps to promote healthy urination, and is known as a tonic for nervous system. Coriander. The scientific name is Coriandrum sativum. The leaves, now we know in the United States, the leaves are known as cilantro, while the seeds are actually known as the coriander seeds. Again, helps a lot with digestion. It's considered a cooling spice. So again, excellent for the pitta personality as well. Pacifies pitta, supports a proper functioning of the kidneys. Cumin. Now, cumin, the scientific name is Cinnamon cyminum, and is used in different cuisines all over the world. Benefits are it promotes digestion, again, very pacifying for vata as well. It boosts immunity and considered very detoxifying as well. Now, since we talked about the foods and the mind connection and how foods impacts the mind, keep in mind that now we know through the gut theory, and Ayurveda actually has been talking about the gut theory for thousands of years, is that again, everything is through our digestion. Everything is through based on how we digest. So in Ayurveda, we say is we are what we digest. So we know that again, our foods impacts our gut. We know our stress impacts our gut. So it's very important to think about listening to our gut. So what foods we eat will affect, again, the way we respond, our emotions. Again, it can affect our stress. Our stress can affect our activity. It can affect our sleep. Ultimately, again, can affect our food as well. So again, if you see, all these factors have a cyclic fashion and can affect our gut. So when you think about improving our gut health, it's important to focus on our digestion. It's important to focus on a balanced diet. That means, again, including foods according to our dosha type, including foods according to different 6 states. In fact, Ayurveda goes further, says that, you also want to include foods based on the different seasons as well, making our meal, our lunchtime, the biggest meal of the day. Managing our stress, because we know that stress affects our emotions. It affects the way we consume food. A lot of times, we affect our food is effective, consumption is affected based on our emotional stress as well. Our sleep can be affected as well. So again, keeping all these factors in consideration, it's very important that we focus on all these different things. Now, since we talked about the emotional factor, let's take a minute and talk about stress management as well, and why it's important for us to know about stress. So what is stress? It is the body's way to react to any kind of demand. It can be emotional stress, feeling anxious, feeling stressed out, you have to meet a deadline at project. It can be a physical stress. So how does stress actually affect us? It creates more anxiety. It can create more fatigue. It can create an upset stomach, it can create more irritability. It can affect our sleep. We have emotional eating associated with that. There can be higher risk for chronic disease states such as hypertension, heart disease, obesity, and diabetes. And we find right now is that the more stressed we are, the more chronic inflammation, and the more chronic inflammation we have, it can create a risk factor for all these different chronic disease states as well. So let's talk about very important Ayurvedic therapy that we're going to talk about, and how it actually is going to help with creating that emotional balance. And that Ayurvedic therapy is Abhyanga, which is Ayurvedic massage. This is something that all of us can do at home as well. So by definition, when you think about what is Abhyanga, so it comes from a Sanskrit word. Abhi means anointing, smearing, and Anga means body or the limb. So basically massaging the body with oil for general well-being and therapeutic use in different health conditions is basically for Abhyanga. So when it comes to Abhyanga, let's look at some of the benefits of Abhyanga. And later on, I'm going to talk a little about the process and how we can do that Abhyanga ourselves as well. So when it comes to Abhyanga, it helps, it's a warm oil massage. Now you can choose either, whichever oil, again, which you're not allergic to. For person who is, I would say, a Vata personality or a Pitta Vata personality or Kapha personality, sesame oil works best because it's considered very warming in nature. For a Pitta personality, usually coconut oil is recommended because it's considered more cooling in nature. It pacifies imbalanced Vata. It helps with relaxation, helps with stress management, again, improves immunity and revitalizes our body and mind. So how can we do this Abhyanga at home as well? So very simple. Again, choose an oil of your liking, choose an oil, again, which you're not allergic to, choose an oil which is more in alignment with your dosha type. When applying the oil, make sure it's warm enough. When we start our Abhyanga, we start with the head and it ends at the feet. You want to use a very gentle pressure. An easier way to do Abhyanga is if you don't have a lot of time to spare, if you want to just apply the oil the way you are applying, let's say, lotion to your body, you would apply that oil to yourself. You can, wait for 5 minutes, let the body absorb that oil. And then if you want, you can take a warm water shower. Now, when you have more time, let's say on a weekend, and you can spare at least 15 to 20 minutes on your self Abhyanga, you definitely want to use more gentle pressure. Now, usually we say when it comes to Abhyanga, it's Anulom Gati, which is the direction of the hair, and away from the head towards the extremities. Now, when it comes to joints, make sure you're using more circular motion. Once you apply the oil, as I said, let the body absorb the oil, and then you can take a warm water shower. Now, usually, I would say Abhyanga is best to do in the morning, but depending upon the time of the day, if you have time in the evening or night, you can use it as one of the routine for your nighttime as well. So some tips I have for creating more emotional balance and to reduce stress and improve energy, making sure that we are focusing on freshly cooked foods, freshly cooked meals. We're eating our meals on time. We are being mindful with our eating. That means in Ayurveda, we say that we just don't eat with our mouth. We eat with all our senses. That means we smell our food. We are listening to our food and somebody is cooking that food. We are seeing that food and we are tasting that food as well. So again, we want to be mindful with our eating. So when we eat our meal, make sure that you are giving the full attention to your meal. You are, all the electronics around you, you want to switch off, go to a nice quiet place and really savor each bite of that food so you can really enjoy that food. When it comes to lifestyle, make sure that you are including some sort of activity. Again, something that you can easily do. Sleeping on time. Sleep is an important pillar in Ayurveda. Yoga, pranayam, depending upon, again, the time of the day, depending upon the schedule and things. And Abhyanga, again, I would say depending upon your schedule, if you can do it every day, that is great, but at least 2 or 3 times a week. And again, on the weekend, when you have more time, definitely spend at least 15 to 20 minutes on the Abhyanga. So how we can help with your health and wellness at Ayurveda Nutrition? Again, if you are looking for a better wellness experience, we do provide Ayurveda and nutrition consults both in person as well as via telehealth. We do provide Ayurvedic therapies, Panchakarma at our wellness center here in Dallas, Fort Worth. You can reach out to us. You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. On YouTube, we do have a YouTube channel as well. We also have a podcast as well. Make sure that you also listen to our podcast episodes on both on YouTube as well as on our website as well. I have been a co-author for 2 books, which is Ayurveda and Yoga, A Path to Health and Healing, and Primary Ayurveda for dietitians and healthcare professionals. And you can find more information about these books both on our website as well as on Amazon as well. And towards the end, if you have questions, do let me know. So thank you so much, Dr. Manjiri, for inviting me for this Ayurveda Day retreat. And thank you all the other speakers as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gauri. I'm just going to pin my video. Okay, so perfect. So I am going to make Dr. Jaya the host now. So that was a wonderful presentation. Sorry, I'm just lost in some technicalities. Okay, let me, yeah, wonderful presentations. And I think we have a few questions. We are going to address that. There's a quick question that I'm going to ask right now. Is Amruta's asking, does when we eat affect digestion and emotional balance consequently? I think those are a bit longer questions, so I think we'll address that, because it's not like a yes no answer. I want to make sure I'm on time, and the last 15 minutes we'll address all the questions, and then we'll do some giveaways as well. So I would love to welcome Dr. Jaya now. She's talking about a really, really important topic. Gut health is now back on the forefront of all health protocols, and that's something Ayurveda has been talking about for centuries. So we're really excited that gut health get its recognition. And another important aspect of gut health is immunity. So Dr. Jaya is going to talk about the connection between gut health and immunity and how Ayurveda can support both. So I'll just hand it over to Dr. Jaya now. Thank you so much, Dr. Jaya.
Thank you, Dr. Manjiri, for inviting me for this Ayurveda Day retreat. Happy Dhanvantari Day to all of you. I'm Dr. Jaya Daptardar. I'm Ayurvedic doctor, healthcare executive, and also writer of 3 Ayurvedic books. I practice Ayurveda in the United States. So my today's topic is gut health, key to the strong immunity. And like Dr. Manjiri said, it is a very important topic. It became a very important topic during this pandemic. Gut health is key to strong immune system. Ayurvedic medicine or herbs explain many factors that can weaken our digestive system and different ways that we can learn to build and strengthen it. So healthy digestion reflects a healthy mind and body and helps build greater resilience and strong immunity. So if the food doesn't get digested well, and you have probably heard that today many times, it will not absorb the required nutrients for the growth of our cells. Undigested food particles remain in the body as a toxic material called So this toxic material, if not treated, it spreads in the body as toxins, which at the end, it affects our mind and immunity. So when this ama, the toxic substance, accumulate in the body over the period of time, it blocks the channels. That's called Strotasa in Ayurveda. So that is the reason Ayurveda recommends seasonal detox for cleansing to release the blocks. It is the same thing when your drainage pipes are blocked and bacteria starts growing there. Then it smells at the end, and you will have to flush out for the good flow. So this is something happens in our body as well. So the awareness about our gut health and its correlation with immunity would have been so important these days. Coronavirus has not just taught us to be extra careful, but has made us observe and read all this material, then to take care of our bodies in a manner that we never did before. So research shows that almost 70% of our body's immune cells reside in our gut. Our immune system co-evolved with our microbiota, working together to keep us protected from pathogens. So the armies of immune cells are dispatched from here to push back and initiate an antiviral response. So the immune response results in the release of cytokines and chemokines and antibodies, which in many cases can defeat the viruses. So our gut is a home to trillions of good and bad bacteria. A well-balanced gut microbiota means a balanced immunity. So the microbiota contains bacteria, fungi, and viruses, and all of which contribute to maintaining a balanced ecosystem in our health and wellness. So these microbes collectively perform many beneficial functions, including educating the immune system. So scientists have revealed that if this balance is somehow disrupted, it leads to the imbalances, and imbalances lead to the diseases. So according to Ayurveda, let's find out what Ayurveda says about the importance of gut health. So among the various aspects that regulate our immunity are food, exercise, good food, exercise, good sleep, mental health. And Ayurvedic herbal combinations are also effective ways to augment the process of strengthening and balancing our immune system. So based on the science of Ayurveda, several supplements made from scientifically validated, standardized national extracts or herbs offer such a lot of potential. So a well-balanced gut microbiome means balanced immune system, right? And Ayurveda gave us the Rasayana therapy and as an immense gift of herbs, such as the other herbs too, such as guruchi, gilai, which significantly helps in enhancing the count of good bacteria in our gut. So improving our body's immunity and overall physiological functioning. The other organ that is primarily in maintaining immunity is our liver. It performs over 500 functions, including detoxification of the body and production of glutathione, or a compound that maintains the body's defense system. So Ayurvedic concept of the immune function is explained in Ayurveda under multiple topics. So the most important one is bala, which is strength. So the concept of strength. And the another one is vyadhi kshamatva, or the concept of resistance to illness development. And the third one is ojas, or the concept of supreme resilience. The concept of bala explains the ability of the system to repair and nourish itself and be effective in disease prevention. Whereas vyadhi kshamatva is the ability of the immune system to fight against the disease-causing pathogens. So the preventative aspect of our immunity function is related to, again, to our gut, to our digestive system. So balanced doshas, or bioenergies, through cleansing are also essential for proper resistance of the illness. So the concept of ojas, like I mentioned, the ojas is a supreme resilience. It explains the direct correlation between the digestion and the immunity. Ojas is the final product of physiological transformation happening in our body as a part of our tissues nourishment, the development of cells. So the 7 layers of tissues are nourished one by one as a result of properly functioning metabolic pathways. And the result of this process is ojas. So properly functioning metabolic activities also happen when you have a good immunity or good ojas. And that is also the metabolism is also a part of our hormonal balances and imbalances. So ojas is considered as an essence of the food that we consume. So our first speaker who said that, our body is, because of the food we consume, and it becomes a part of, what type of food we consume. So if we consume healthy food, our body is going to be healthy. So a healthy level of ojas indicates the proper nourishment of our tissues. When that food gets absorbed properly in our body, and it gets to the end point, which is ojas, the extract part, ojas, which nourishes to our tissues. So the function of ojas is not just explained as a resistance to disease, but it is resilience to any form of unfavorable physical, mental, or environmental change, which would create an imbalance leading to the disease. So healthy immune system is represented by the harmonious balance of our physical, mental, emotional, as well as spiritual resilience of an individual. So the immune system is described as the balanced function of 3 subtle energies. So the first is prana, which is universal principle of energy. Then second is tejas, which is the inner radiance, intelligence. And ojas, which is strength, good extract, and end product, we can say. So immunity is very much connected to this mysterious substance called ojas. in this Ayurvedic tradition, ojas has everything to do with our immunity. So mind health has a role on immunity as well. The influence of mind and emotions on our immunity is a very new system that is being studied in past 4 or 5 decades, known as psychoneuroimmunology. So this studies the effect of the central nervous system on various factors responsible for immune response. The Ayurvedic concept of ojas explains the impact of immunity caused by excessive anger, cravings, addiction, sadness, emotions, exertion. So this interconnected understanding of gut health, digestion, mind, and immunity in Ayurveda helps us develop some natural remedies that help us, that means Ayurvedic practitioners, natural remedies that influence all these three. And after all, the ability to withstand the change that can only be developed by maintaining a state of equilibrium of the body, mind, and soul. So I want to give the simple tips today, the factors that act negatively or negatively on our immunity that should be avoided. So first of all, lifestyle management according to the seasons and doshas and Ayurvedic principles are required. It is a simple prevention in Ayurveda. But let's talk about what factors negatively affect. So the first one is imbalanced diet. A diet plays a big part, and that is not if the diet is not nutritionally balanced and supportive to our doshas, what type of personality you have, then the excess intake of particular diet affects your immunity. Processed sugars, the addictive behaviors itself, artificial flavoring is also kind of weaken our immune system. Eating disorders like, anorexia nervosa or IBS can also lead to the nutritional imbalance, and then that weakens the immune system. So what needs to be done? Choose the intelligent food. That means what needs for your particular constitution and the season, and what food you can digest well or your system can digest well. That's why I said intelligent food. So the food should be fresh, and you have heard that many times today too. Whole grains and legumes, and it should not be refrigerated for a long time, and it has to be eaten in a quiet place, and with peacefully. Like, for example, khichdi is the simple combination of rice and moong dal, which is also immunity booster because the spices that are used in that are more seasonal, and with you can use with the seasonal vegetables and fresh ghee is the best soothing, easy, and digestible food. So when I said digestible food, it has to be well digested in the system. And it has to be cooked with the immune boosting spices, not just khichdi, that was just example, but any food. So your food cook your food in a way that it doesn't disturb the food's natural intelligence. For instance, if you add like mild spices to cooked vegetables or greens or legumes, the food will convert more quickly into ojas form, the extract that I'm talking about. The spices and good flavors have a yogavahi property. That means they support the digestion, the process of digestion, and make the nutrients easily available to the body. So this is just like, we use filters in our air conditioning system in a car. And so what happens is, if something is not filterable or heavy, that sticks to the filters, right? The same thing happens if the food is not digested well. It remains there as a form of undigested particles called ama, and then it doesn't get absorbed by the walls of the intestine or walls of our guts, and it sticks there. It becomes a wall there between the gut and the food, so it or the nutrients, so it doesn't get absorbed very well. And that is why Ayurveda recommends the cleansing process or the detoxification process. So, for example, spices, for example, turmeric has an immune modulating effect because it is detoxifying and enhances the intelligence of the immune cells. Before me, Dr. Gauri also explained about the cumin, which is good for ama, to digest the ama, and it boosts the digestion. Black pepper that clears the channels so the ojas can reach the deeper tissues. And it has antioxidant properties. So when I said good spices, these are the good spices to use. Then there are others too. So another factor which affects our immune system is excessive alcohol intake or the drug abuse, excessive medication, which is not important. So the physicians are already aware of the impact of alcohol or excessive drug intake on resistance and recovery from illness. That impacts the recovery of illness, any type of illness. So researchers have also shown that a regular alcohol intake can weaken the immune system and its effectiveness against the common pathogens. Then you have heard multiple times about the irregular sleep. Sleep is very important in Ayurveda and Ayurvedic lifestyle. Constantly varying the sleep patterns, lack of sleep, or interrupted sleep affects the immunity. High stress. So any high stress increases the cortisol level in blood, reducing the focus on immune system nourishment. That is the correlation between the cortisol level and the stress. So, and then the next is obesity. Excess weight gain can itself be an indicator of an imbalance in metabolism and hormonal function. Someone asked about the hormonal functions. So lack of exercise and its negative effect of immunity is also well researched in terms of Ayurvedic studies. Chronic medications, I have already mentioned the drug abuse or the excessive use of medication, which is not necessary. Long-term use of antibiotics and certain other medications are also proven to be detrimental for immunity. Then the liquid intake. It is important, and various studies have shown that not having enough liquid intake can reduce our effectiveness of the body's resistance mechanism. So besides all these, Ayurveda has a broad range of therapies to boost immunity and improve digestion. Mind plays an important role. So definitely Ayurvedic Abhyanga therapy, you'll learn a lot about this. Oil massage, Chirodhara, yoga, meditation, breathing exercises are very helpful. So with that, the other Ayurvedic therapies, they're like marma therapies, and like a list of therapies are there in Ayurveda. But the main focus of Ayurveda, as you all know, is prevention, and lifestyle management plays a big role into harmoniously balancing our body, mind, and soul for the health of a healthy person. So today, on this auspicious day, I wish you all a very happy and healthy life. Ayurvedic mental therapy, mental health therapies, and counseling or beauty therapies. If you need any help, please visit my website www.ayurbeautyandlifestyle.com, and definitely reach out to me if you need any help in this area, and you're in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Jaya. I have a question here for you because we still have a little bit of time. I'm going to see if you can answer the question. So Isha is asking if you can shed some light on hormones and gut health and their relationship.
Yeah, so I have mentioned a little bit about it because when I talk about gut health, it is the key for all the nutrients. When our nutrients get absorbed through a good digestion, then it provides a good nutrient to our brain and our hormones to release. And when the hormones are released in a balanced way, then it gives us a strong immunity in our body. So this is all correlated. And the basic thing is our gut health.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true. And no matter, what, that's the one thing I see in my practice, that everybody talks about hormonal balancing, but often people don't consider the gut. And then that becomes a big challenge because no matter what foods, what protocols you follow, you have to digest it. What herbs you eat, you have to digest it, to be able to assimilate. So thank you once again so much, Dr. Jaya. Thanks so much. Wonderful presentation. I'm sure everybody enjoyed it. We have a lot of good interaction here. I'm going to go back to all the question and answers, and I will see if I can answer a few of those. Another thing I will do for this talk is I'm going to take this and post it in my Facebook group. So I will be posting it in Ayurveda for Health and Happiness group. I'm going to share the quick link here. I'm just going to pull it up. So if you haven't yet joined the Facebook group, you can please join the Facebook group. And what will happen there is, I'll post the video. And you can also put any comments or any questions underneath the video. Again, the video will be accessible for 36 hours for anybody that wants to attend it for free. It is also available for a nominal fee if you want to purchase the video. So that helps me cover the backend cost. So most definitely, Vibha is saying, thank you so much. Very informative, great presenters. Happy Diwali to everyone. Happy Diwali. So I'm going to quickly look at all the questions and then we will go from there. I just have to scroll here. So if you are joining this new, we have made a commitment today that I said that, this is the most auspicious day to make a commitment towards your health. So please, make a commitment that you're going to put your physical, mental, emotional health and well-being above everything else and really prioritize it today. So this is a great day for setting goals. One of the most auspicious, one of the 3.5 auspicious timings in the calendar. Today is one day. So please make sure you're, investing in your health. You're really taking charge of your health. So please set that goal. I'm quickly going to look at slides. Somebody asked me for the slides. I will share those, at least mine for sure. I'll be sharing those. Jasmine was asking for signs of ovulation, right? So signs of ovulation, your body temperature will increase. There will be changes in the cervix. There are some breast tenderness. There is ovulatory pain in some women. The cervical mucus becomes a little bit, thready. So these are a few signs. And then most people use ovulatory tests, like a urine test where you can figure out if you have ovulated or not. But these are some of the signs. Somebody had asked me another question, which was completely unrelated, but if you have a heart, like chest pain without any heart related ailments, can you take Arjuna? I don't think so. Like, I honestly don't think so. Ayurvedic herbs are not over-the-counter medications. They are very potent, right? And Arjuna, especially, it's an astringent herb that will strengthen the muscle. If you have conditions like angina, which has been not diagnosed, I wouldn't go for any herbs, directly. So I wouldn't. So I think Dr. Paul had answered about freezing eggs. So that question is done. Kapha balancing and kapha pacifying, is it the same? So a lot of the times it's used interchangeably. So when a dosha is aggravated, it's above and beyond its limits, right? So an increase is going to be a qualitative or a quantitative limit, like a coldness can increase or the quantity of kapha can increase. And then you need to bring it down. That's the pacifying effect or the rebalancing effect. So it can be used, most definitely, like interchangeably. Rosacea is the, like, in terms of diet, stress, emotions, it is a larger topic. So I have shared the link with Debbie. So most definitely, please feel free to look at the link. Dark spots on face caused by sun damage, can they be reversed? Another similar question. So I'm going to ask Dr. Swati to answer that now that I can see her here. I'm going to give the,
Yes.
presentation to her. Okay.
So
Yeah.
dark spots, or they are also called as liver spots.
Yeah.
So what they're like, in the name itself, it signifies that there is something wrong with your liver function. So when we talk about liver function, when we talk about dark spots, they are nothing but they are like, suppose, for example, in a very easy way, not in Ayurvedic terminology, is when you expose your skin to bare sunlight, what happens? Your body, for hours, if you're exposing yourself, suppose you're gardening or you're on a beach, so your bare skin is being exposed to the sun, what happens? Your body reacts. And what does it secrete? It secretes more melanin. Why? To protect your body from the UV rays. So when the body is being protected for the UV rays and the excess melanin is being secreted in your body, that excess melanin also has to be addressed. If your liver is functioning properly, if you are detoxifying properly, what happens is this detoxification happens on a regular basis. So this becomes as a circle or a circular fashion where you are secreting the melanin to protect your skin as well as you are detoxifying your body. So always remember, when you are detoxifying your body, we have to keep this in mind, that unless and until your detoxification of your body is not on a regular intervals, or it is being not done in an Ayurvedic way, naturally you are going to accumulate those toxins. When accumulation happens, that means the spots start to appear on your face, on your rest of your body. And that is also related to rosacea as well. Rosacea also is being on the body, it is being scattered or spread due to excess amount of heat, stress, as well as the inbound toxins. So always remember, if you work with an Ayurvedic doctor, he or she will always help you to detox in an Ayurvedic way. Again, I'll repeat, do not go in any Ayurvedic blog and do the detoxification processes with your own knowledge. Try to seek the help so that doctors or Ayurvedic experts can help you properly detox in an Ayurvedic way.
Oh, thank you so much for that answer. And another question somebody has is, can you apply oil at night, leave it on and shower in the morning, especially for kids?
Mm-hmm. So what I would suggest is, if you want to apply the oil, if you live in colder countries or colder states, like in Illinois, I would say do not do that in the nighttime. It is better because in the nighttime, the tamoguna is increased as well. The morning, you would say the cold temperatures can sink in the body if the body is being oiled. So I will not suggest you to do that. Do it in the morning hours. But if you live in a climate which is a little hot, the oil is actually going to make you more hotter. It is going to give you the feeling of more heat trapped inside your body. So again, if you're applying oil, apply it in the morning, leave it in for 10 to 15 minutes, and you can wash it off. The oil has already done its job.
And what about coconut oil for face massage?
So coconut oil for face massage is definitely a good idea, because coconut oil is very soothing, it is moisturizing, as well as it is very calming to the pitta. Pitta is what the skin, Pitta resides in the skin. So very soothing for Pitta. But if you are a Kapha dominant person who has a very oily skin, I would not recommend you to massage with coconut oil. I would say use some different products or face products, and then you can apply them over. But massage it and wash it off after 10 to 15 minutes is a good idea for Kapha dominant people. But for Pitta people, they can leave it on so that they don't develop any rosacea or skin rashes. And for Vata people, sesame oil in combination with coconut oil is a good idea as well.
Okay, perfect. And see, one of my favorite skincare oils is almond oil because it's super nourishing.
Mm-hmm.
So coconut oil is great, but if you're looking at more penetrative qualities, the heat helps penetration more. So sesame oil for Vata dominant, or even almond oil is another good option. And then Dr. Swati makes her own oils as well, which are pretty fantastic. Rita is asking me a question. Your complexion is glowing and beautiful. What do you use?
It is. She's our best skin doctor over here. Yes.
I watch what I eat. Like my main thing is, if I have a kapha kind of skin, which is also kapha pitta kind of combination skin. So I naturally have a very oily skin, right? So I have to make sure my diet is pretty good. I'm exercising on a regular basis. Otherwise I start breaking out. So I don't use a lot of product on the skin. I rarely wear foundations. If I'm going out, I never put like things on my skin. And I do use some natural oils for massage, but I can't take the credit. Like, I think it's more heredity. My mom had a fantastic skin, so I just inherited, but I have to watch what I eat. I have to really follow my routines. Sleepless nights show up on my skin. Oily fried foods will show up on my skin, right? So I have to manage that. So that's the one thing that I use. Amruta, another good question. Does when we eat affect digestion and emotional balance consequently? Very good question. See, not just the time of the eating, but also your emotions. For example, if somebody is extremely stressed, right, and then they eat, and this is very common with binging. Nowadays, we're seeing emotional eating. So if you're stressed and you're just trying to fill something up, your nervous system is going to respond a certain way because it's stressed. Stress hormones are triggered and it's taking away from your digestive tract and you're not breaking the food. So definitely when you eat is going to affect the digestion. If you eat in the afternoon time, I'm talking about now the time wise. So if you eat in the afternoon, you have more time to digest the food than having heavy food at night or eating a big meal at night, right? And as Dr. Gauri had mentioned, sattva, rajas, tamas. So food has its qualities as well. And in Ayurveda, we look at a lot of qualitative analysis, So everything, including the doshas, every food, every object, like everything, we will try to understand in terms of the qualities which are known as gunas, right? And that is the key to balancing, because carbs, macros, micros are not really going to be, helpful when it comes to emotional balancing. But understanding the concept of sattva, rajas, tamas, or understanding the concept of is it heavy, right? Foods that are heavy will make you mentally bogged down. Foods that are like spices, which are light, which are stimulating, are going to create that stimulation, right? And foods that are kind of sattvic, they give you clarity of the mind, they should be consumed on a regular basis. So 100% when you eat is going to affect digestion and emotional balance as well, and what you eat for sure. The oil at night, we've answered the question. This is a question for all the presenters. How did you ladies meet? Fantastic. Good. So
Yes.
I met Jaya at a conference. I've met Gauri at a conference. I don't think I've met Swati in person yet.
No, but
No.
we are very, very good friends.
Yeah, and I haven't met Dr. Ashish Paul in person yet. She's from UK. But see, the one thing I absolutely love is connecting with the Ayurvedic community. If I see somebody doing good work, I always love interviewing them and learning more about their approach, right? So this is the way I like to connect with other Ayurvedic Vaidyas who are doing amazing work. And this was a last minute event that I put together about 3-4 days away, because I was just hosting my autumn reset. We had 37 attendees. It was crazy busy. It was amazing. But I didn't have much time to plan this, but I wanted to do a special offering, something that would make people learn. And that's why I just thought, okay, why not? So I just called, all the presenters whom I consider my very good friends, and they were, gracious enough to help me and support me in this. So thank you all. And thank you so much. So let me quickly see, we talked about hormones and gut health as well. I'm gonna see if we have more questions. I have posted the link to the Facebook group here. I don't see. So somebody's asking me a question. What are your views on Kailash Jeevan? So Kailash Jeevan is an Ayurvedic product very commonly used in India. And I think the base is what's known as Shatadhot Grut. So you take ghee and you're going to kind of wash it like 100 times. And then Kailash Jeevan has some other products added as well. It is very cooling. It is absolutely healing for a lot of the wounds and stuff. Fantastic product. So I definitely use it. Barbara is committing to her physical, mental, emotional health as well today onwards. That is fantastic. I can see all of you are really prioritizing your health. Rita is asking, is there anything you can suggest for hair discoloration? You said that chemicals on the skin and hair are not beneficial, but we women don't like to go gray, white before our time. So it would be useful to know if there's something less harsh that we could use. There are some natural hair colors derived from henna. So
Yes.
definitely, yeah.
There are. When we talk about discoloration, like graying, many women, they come to me and they will ask me what we can do. What I would suggest is that if you want to do hair color or if you want to go for any kind of dye, First, make sure that your hair or that hair tissue is nourished. If you have damaged hair, and if you are thinking that any kind of chemical process is going to reverse the damage, that is not going to happen. If it is damaged, then you have to first treat the damage, treat those gray hair as well. Because what you are doing is, if you're putting anything, any chemicals or preservatives on the damaged hair, it is going to go into that irreversible loss. Now you are dependent on those chemicals, you are dependent on those hair colors to regain your hair color back. Now Bringaraj. Bringaraj, or there are definitely beautiful hair products out there, which even I make my own hair oil. So when I make it, I'll always consider what my client really wants, whether hair discoloration, whether they want to focus on aging or falling hair. So it all depends on these customized protocols, but I would suggest you not to invest in chemical dyes. Go with natural hair colors. Hair, like especially henna will turn the hair orange. So I make this hair masks as well, which are customized again. What they do is they will go to the root and they will try to nourish the root. When the roots are nourished, they are not going to be there. But when the graying of hair, it is mostly not under the control of the people. If it is premature, like if it is happening in 20s, then definitely we have to consider some Ayurvedic detoxification process for the person.
Yeah, and another important thing when we talk about premature aging, right? One thing is there's always this vata pitta aggravation happening, right? Pitta, if there's too much heat, that will go to your hair and that will create that discoloration. So
Yes.
we need pitta for our mental processes, but there are certain basic things we talk in Ayurveda, that never wash your hair with hot water, right?
Yeah.
And always like protecting your hair, oiling your hair is fantastic.
Yes.
I remember in my internship days, we went to Kerala to one of my friends, native places, and we made oil with fresh coconuts, and we added Ringaraj, we added like some bhasmas as well. And we used the oil on her dad, and he was in his, I think, 50s at the time, late 50s, and a few of his hair started turning black again. So it was wonderful. So this is what it can do. Michelle's question is similar to that. So is it possible to reverse prematurely aged skin, or can you just stop the premature aging process from getting worse? Depends on when you catch it, right? So I can't 100% say the damage is a lot. It is harder to reverse, but the earlier you catch it, it is easy. And when it comes to skin,